What's important, in my opinion, about it is that on Saturday, your fellow classmates would respond to that draft and give you some pointers, which you would then look at, and by Sunday night, put the final one in for Safe Schools. Does that make sense to you? Okay, but you have an option. If you don't want to do the draft, don't do it. Pick one of the other two discussion items. Okay? I don't think I messed with your mind too much, but tell me if you're not sure. Question you had.
I was thinking it was due tonight, so I already did the bullying discussion.
Then you're done with your discussion. Excellent, you're done. Well, I don't know. Did you see an email I sent out?
Yeah.
Because it was saying that we might switch it. But you got ahead,
no,
so you're done.
The email, yeah, I understood it for the e-signers, not the discussion. But
Okay,
I might have,
so your discussion is done.
hopefully.
Fine. Any other thoughts? Okay, but let me ask you, if when you, on Saturday morning or whenever, that you look at the other four, their discussions to do a response to, if somebody, I'm asking, if someone did a Safe Schools draft, maybe respond to that one to give them some pointers, because that's why they would be putting it in as a draft. Okay, there's 37 students in this class, and I appreciate everybody's work, but I would like to just make an announcement to everyone, and if you just mind standing up right where you are. Some of you in the back there, so just stand wherever you are. Casey, would you stand up for a second? Michael, would you stand up, please? Marcus, would you stand up? Ute, would you stand up? Eric, would you stand up? I just want the whole class to see, and we have a visitor today. I just want the whole class to see, and also for our visitor to see from the superintendent's office.
Wow.
Superintendent's office.
Peter doesn't have much money left.
I would like you to see that these 5 students out of 37 students have done extremely well on their assignments to date, and they are receiving, show our visitor,
We
please.
deliberated long and hard, guys.
They have, this group of 5 has done an excellent job, and they all received a little achievement award today.
Very nice.
For the rest of you, you're doing well also. You're doing well, and I'd like you to work for next week towards a reward and an award that you'll get with your assignments if you can complete them. And you could also see these 5 after class or during lunch and nutrition, and maybe even get some pointers from them. So thank you. Let's give the 5 people a round of applause.
Recognition.
So, Casey, what was that for?
For great job on our academic achievement.
Yes. And what does that do to the person getting the award?
Makes them feel good, makes them keep trying hard.
And Michael, what about the rest of the students that maybe didn't get an award at the moment? What does that possibly tell them?
You need to step it up. So they can get to your word.
That there's a possibility of reaping some benefits in this class in the near future?
Let's see Marcus's take on that. What do you think?
Marcus, what is your take on that?
I think you have like positive and negative consequences in the class, so it just shows that if you do a good job, you're going to be positively rewarded, just like you might be negatively penalized possibly if you don't do something well.
So we're balancing positive and negative consequences a little bit? And most students, I think, appreciate the positive, and all this is a piece of paper, Xeroxed, cost you basically nothing money-wise out of your pocket. By the way, these, I think I told you, come with a tear-off, which you're not getting. I'm getting that tear off, and that's for In-N-Out Burgers. And it's for a free cheeseburger at the close of In-N-Out. And if, and all kidding aside, if you happen to have a school where you're close to an In-N-Out, wow, then this kind of award really shines for the students in your classroom. If there's no In-N-Out, then you better go over to McDonald's. Where else? Carl's Jr.,
Burger King.
Burger King, where the other ones that all, unless if we don't ask, we don't find out. Most of all of these corporations have something. They have something.
And you're getting them for free?
These are free. You
Would
send
they
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
older brother.
you send
Ute probably remembers Noggles. Remember?
Noggles? I don't even remember Noggles. What's Noggles?
Noggles was a fusion, a Mexican-American burger,
Yes.
burrito type of thing. Yeah.
Oh, this class doesn't know about the fusion. No, they don't know about fusion. 2 times a year, 2 times a year, with a letter going into on their form to In-N-Out Burger. They do it twice a year. Twice a year they do it. They accept the letter. It's their letter. You can go online or call them. They're out of Irvine. They'll send you a letter asking you for the principal's signature. The awards go to the principal under your name, and they will give you, at least it was last year, I don't know this year, they'll give you 20% of the student body in awards, and you're going to pick the awards. I think the 4 things are, one is academic, one is maybe athletic, and there's 2 other types that you can pick the 20%. So if you've got 200 kids in the school at 20%, who's on math? Marcus, you're math, aren't you?
Yeah.
200 students at 20%, how many awards will you get?
So you do 200 divided by 5, so that's 40.
You'll get 40. That's right. You get 40 awards in the area that you want them. And it's something. Many other companies will do it also. Any questions before we switch over to our guest? Any questions about the assignment? Something we discussed? Something you heard? Anything on your mind right this second? I know there's a lot on your mind, and most of it is not about this class. It's about tomorrow or something else, about paying a bill, something like that. I understand that. Put that out for a second. Let's talk about ITL 5:30 for about 3 more hours, please. I know. But if your stomach is hungry, there's some great cookies from Whole Foods and some great chips that Marcus liked last week. I know he liked those chips last week. That's why I got different ones. Because he finished most of them last week, which is fine, because the rest of you let him do it, so that's your business. I don't want to take him home. Any questions? All kidding aside. Okay, I've got to throw out a couple things that are on my mind. The notebook. You probably should have put some time already into the notebook. I see one notebook there. Do I see Marcus is going to get his notebook? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at the break, Marcus is going to get his, and then we'll switch the notebooks. So we'll do that for the following week. Marcus won't get a notebook this week, but Michael will. And then Michael is nice. He'll share it with Marcus. Did he share it with you last week?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't know if he was going to do that or not. I wasn't sure, to be honest. I really wasn't. Notebook. Hopefully you've cracked that a little bit already. You've started on that. I gave you a number of handouts tonight. I know it's a lot. The assignment is not too bad for this week. That's why the notebook is important to start on. The handouts I gave you, plus what we discussed tonight, can go into the notebook. But your table of contents for the notebook should kind of be in the motion already. I got to preach this to you because I've seen the end results of a class too many times now. There's always a couple that don't hear me, and I really try to prevent that. As teachers, our end result is to give high grades at the end, if the student deserves that. But it's our job as a teacher to scaffold it so the student can achieve the good grade. Second thing is the field experience. Hopefully you kind of know where you're headed. for the field experience by now. If there is a one-on-one problem at the break or after class, I'd be more than happy to sit with you. We have a sixth grade multi-subject teacher tonight here. If you pass him $20, I know he'd probably allow you to come to his class next
Free.
week.
Free for you guys.
Free?
Yeah.
He charged it. He charged the last kid $20, and he got 2 takers at $20. He made $40 about a couple, 3-4 months ago. So he's being extra nice today, maybe because he had a nice lunch.
He used to work the Jungle Boat cruise at, Disneyland, and
Yes,
the
I did.
jokes get a little bit tired.
But I did do a good job there. I met Steve 13 or 14 years ago.
Yeah, it's been
13 or 14 years ago as a teacher. There's some people that you already decided you're going to be friends with for a long time. He's a guy I met as a teacher. I had a classroom. I was the assistant principal at Richard E. Byrd Middle School, and the principal said, I've got some money set aside. We're starting to go into the end of the year. Some teachers are complaining about their classes. Kids are getting a little bit out of hand. We need to do something, Alan. He said, I got some money. I said, well, let's try this. Let me hire this was when year-round schools were still in LA Unified. There's no more year-round schools. So Steve was at a year-round school. So was I. So I started looking for a teacher who was going to be off for 2 or so months to be able to take a special program. This special program was, I was going to take from the 6th and 7th grade classrooms, how should I say this, the worst possible offenders of the classroom. The ones who were eating up the teachers alive. And the teacher had to spend 95% of their behavior modification time on one student, or maybe 2 students, and the rest of the kids were halfway decent, but these 2 were harassing the teacher, and they were spending too much time. So I said to the teachers, let me have the 1 or 2 students that are causing you the most problems, and I'll give them to this sucker that I'm going to hire. This sucker that I'm going to hire, and I'm going to throw him into the lion's den, and I'm not going to tell him and let him die if he wants to get killed in the lion's den, and you'll have it easy. So within 3 seconds, they gave me names. And I gave him to this guy. All kidding aside, I told him what he was getting. He said he was willing to take on the challenge. I said, we, the administration, are available to help you. We'll do whatever it takes. But these kids are tough, and you're going to be their sole teacher. They're not going to travel. You might even have to have lunch with them, and you might have to do PE with them, but they are yours from the start to the finish. And just do the very best job you can to give them some sort of education, and there'll only be about 13 or 15 in the class, not 35. So, and you won't have an aide, but just do the best you can. And this fool right here, this fool of a guy, I had 3 or 4 people that applied for the job. 2 of them, as soon as they heard what I wanted, I'm gone. Sorry, I'm not interested. Judy, her name wasn't it?
Yeah, Judy.
The third one, she dropped out just about as fast as the other 2. So he was left. So he took him. So let me introduce some 6th grade teacher at Roy Roma Middle School. He's got 15 good years of experience, and he's going to do his thing for a little while and make it interactive. If you've got questions, concerns, just lay it on him. Steve McKeon.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. I come up once a year, and my main emphasis is classroom management. So I feel that's my passion. But I've come to realize something over the years is it's not just classroom management. It's a bunch of components rolled up into one, right? No, I'm going to go through it with one of the slides. I would go and make reflections at the end of the day. Journal them, write the successes. I would write down the things that didn't go so well, and I would learn from those, and through a little bit of rest and reflection and a lot of preparation, the next day was inevitably better. So, but and Alan actually taught me the whole system of positive rewards, because with these kids, we really needed to try something different. They were so mired in their disobedience, and the repetition of disobedience is probably the worst thing, because the kids actually get off on making the teacher's life miserable, right? And so we have to give them an incentive to make the right decisions, right? To actually join in the learning. And I've always been a firm believer that you don't really give any of these misbehaving kids any slack. They have got to do as much work as any of the other students. And the minute that they see a handhold, right? The minute they see a weakness, they will pounce on that, and you'll pay for it, right? With your time and your energy, which you really don't have a whole lot to spare in the classroom. So we're gonna get going. I've been thinking about writing a book, and that would probably be a good title for it, right? So you say you want to teach, because Alan, because of my friendship with him over the years, we've just kind of come up with a little curriculum, and we'll share some of those ideas with you tonight. But you have got one of the neatest instructors. He's my good buddy. He's my mentor, and I remember going to a Dodger game once with Alan, and he was talking to these young ladies. I think there were two young ladies that wanted to get into teaching, and he was trying to help them out, plug them into classes, giving them advice, and he's like that with everybody, right? You just have to have listening ears, and so he's ask him, and I would just encourage you, write down as many questions as you can, and they'll come to you during the weekend, at night, maybe while you're preparing dinner for your husband and kids, right? Hey, that's the part of being a professional, is asking good questions. Okay, so what I want you guys to do, please, is go ahead and write down 3 reasons that you decided to get into the teaching profession. What was it that gave you the desire, out of all other careers, to want to become a teacher, right? Give you about a minute, maybe 2 for that. If you come up with 3, maybe 4, that would be great. Very good.
What was the question again, Steve?
Okay, so the question was, what were the reasons that you decided to get in the teaching profession? Okay,
Can I go first?
Oh,
Can I go first? I want to go first.
why'd you get? Yes, Alan.
When I was a junior in high school, end of my sophomore year, the guidance counselor, who I think knew my parents, didn't think I was going to amount to anything. So what did he do? He asked me if I wanted to go. I didn't know any better. So I went to high school my sophomore and junior year, half a day, and then I got on a bus at 12 o'clock, and I went with a bunch of at-risk youngsters. Some of them were terrible.
What city, what state, what year?
I was in Long Beach, New York, and he sent us to Westbury, Long Island, to a refrigeration, air conditioning, cosmetology, auto mechanic school. My area was, I was going to be learning refrigeration and air conditioning. So I did that for about a year and a half, and I said, Alan, you're out of your damn mind. That fool sent you there, and you're going to lift and deal with refrigerators and air conditioners and get dirty and have grease all over you for the rest of your life. I said, no way. So I told him I'm out of that. I told my parents I'm out of that. They went along with the game because, I don't know, they didn't really know any better, if you know what I mean. They weren't educated, college, that kind of thing. So I went back to high school full time, went on to college, decided that stuff was not for me, but I did want to help people. So I went and graduated with a teaching credential. What about you, Casey?
Well, I kind of just always wanted to be a teacher when I was little. When you're little and you play, make-believe, and I was always playing school with my friends. And then kind of in high school, early college, I kind of lost my way a little bit. But with every job I've ever had, with every company I've ever worked for, I always ended up being a trainer. I've always ended up just really learning about what we were supposed to be doing and really enjoyed helping others to be good at that. So I just really like learning about everything I can about whatever subject is in front of me and then passing that information on. And I'm trying to be an English teacher. And what I love about that is that no kid can ever say, I don't need to know how to read or write. So, in math, they always say, like, oh, I'm never going to use geometry. Even though, obviously, they do at some point. But they always need to learn how to read and write. And it's always going to help them no matter what they do in the future.
Okay. And you want to mentor them.
What about the rest of you?
Eric, why don't you go?
I didn't want to be a teacher. In fact, I didn't really like school up until post-secondary. It was I took a big break after high school. I didn't go to school for 6 years, and then I went back and got a diploma, a another certificate, and in a trade like you, and then realized that not so much for me.
Trade in what?
Electrical.
Huh?
But people in the program were telling me that I should be doing something else, even though I was okay at it. They were just like, maybe you belong somewhere else, politely. Not in a mean way, but telling me I should keep going to school, basically. So then I got a bachelor's and a master's degree in philosophy, and by then I thought I wanted to stay in academia. Long story short, I'm from Canada. I came to the United States because my wife is from here. So I got a job at a school fairly quickly as an assistant teacher. So I kind of fell into it, and I still think I might be better at the high school level, but I'm in an elementary school as an assistant, and I'm doing that. So
Yes.
I mean, it's growing on me. It's not natural,
Yes.
particularly the classroom management stuff.
Okay.
The curriculum stuff is totally fine, the knowledge and the teaching, but I'm learning to love teaching. I'll probably end up in high school
Right.
eventually.
That's probably where your niche is, but you don't know until you've
Right.
tasted the different flavors, you
Right.
know. You guys may do your student teaching at a different age level than the level that you finally wind up in, and that's okay. You need to find the age that you're comfortable with. Marcus?
Yeah, I think for me, I just never have had any other jobs besides tutoring or teaching some kind of math. So I think I've just had a true passion for it. And then whenever I'm tutoring people, they're always like, "When are you going to be a teacher? Can I take your class next semester or something?" So it's just been a natural fit. And when I'm explaining things, I don't know, it just seems like what you're meant to do. And then I know that right after high school, I either want to do engineering or be a teacher, so I actually got an AA in like both of them because I just didn't really know what I wanted to do. I ended up doing engineering for a little bit, but then I switched to teaching. So I just felt like I enjoyed teaching more, honestly.
Yeah.
And even when I did my internship, I did my internship at Caltech, but then I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do research the rest of my life. So I switched over, and I'm like, okay, I just want to teach like forever.
Maybe you can be an engineering prof one day.
Yeah, you never know,
Yeah.
maybe. But so yeah, I like it, and you have to kind of like. Also, there's a huge demand for math teachers too.
Right.
So to like teach it thoroughly. So
Sure.
yeah.
What, I'm sorry. Is
Yeah, I
it
don't have my name tag. My name's Michael.
Michael, I thought so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wanted to get into it just because you're providing students a foundation to succeed in, like in college and in life. So you're not just teaching them academically, right? You're teaching them just your values. You're being a role model. A lot of them don't have moms or dads, or they're getting divorced. They're going through, or their parents are getting divorced. So I just like being there, investing in the students, and I'll be an elementary teacher, so you're there like 8 hours a day, really making an impact. Sometimes you're there even more than their parents. So,
Yes. Well, and as they say, time will tell. Your first couple years as a teacher, you'll either have found your place or you're going to need to keep looking. It's not for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, basically I needed a change from what I was doing. I was in real estate for 20 years now.
Right.
And yeah, I've been substitute teaching, and I kind of got into it that way. And
Which school district?
in Glendale.
Okay.
And yeah, I really like it. I saw a lot of different classes. So I'm an assistant teacher now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I got my start in Glendale as well at
Oh, yeah.
Horseman
Ah, okay.
Elementary School.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to start off with that. We're going to show a video about ineffective classroom management, a rather painful video. But my first year of teaching, I would say it was very painful because I went in trying to be the kid's friend. I think that's the way a lot of us approach it. We want to be liked, whatever station we are in life. And that doesn't work well in the classroom because the students need somebody to lay down the law. They need an authoritarian. And friendships only last when, as long as people are getting along with you. And if there's conflict in the room, you need to know how to diffuse it. You need to know how to cross that barrier, because our ultimate goal is to impart knowledge, and knowledge is not going to be imparted if they don't recognize you as an authoritarian. One of Alan's my favorite show is Chicago PD, and so we were talking about Sergeant Voight. Sergeant Voight is he's a great example of authority and compassion. If you ever watched the show, there's times when he's got to put the perpetrators in a cage, and they don't want to say anything, and Sergeant Voight has his ways. But at other times, he could be one of the most compassionate men in the universe. Why do I mention him? Well, I needed to take a lesson from a guy like that in the way that I needed to teach kids, and I needed them to respect me and to be able to sit down and listen. I've got a motto in the class, and it's this: one person has the floor at a time. If I'm speaking, I've got the floor, and if the kids want to say something, well, then they raise their hand. So I'm just going to introduce this video, and then I want you to write down, please, what is going wrong in the classroom. So if you see something that you see that needs to be fixed, and then we'll talk about it. Hope we have sound. Yeah. Maybe. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and if you want to going to write a few things down. So everyone sit down and be quiet, teacher says. Notice where the teacher is not.
Crazy love, big crazy in the building. Oh yo! What's up, Keanu? What's up? What's up, big Paul? What's up, big Paul? The mom secret, Johnny.
Okay, so does anybody know what it's called when students are given a certain amount of time to get ready for the next activity? It's a transition, right? What was the transition? It was get ready for your math center.
Yeah.
You want to prepare?
She said it would be funny. See, look, because now she's going to throw it back at me. Look out.
Instead of addressing the student, the teacher waits.
Okay. I'm thinking about that. I need to put my because I need to do that. Because you tell. You tell. Yeah.
Okay, and why was it ineffective? Feedback. Why don't you take a minute?
Wouldn't want to be in that classroom, I'll tell you that.
Michael, would you like to start?
Yeah, well, I noticed she kept repeating herself, and the students were listening. And then a lot of them were just like walking around, talking and laughing, doing things, and not behavior is supposed to be addressed.
How could she have approached those problems differently?
Well, I think she needs to be given consequences and state her expectations. So I don't even know if the expectations were stated before the students entered the room.
Good question. Casey, what could she have done after she asked the kids to be quiet and they didn't comply?
I mean, I think she just needs to have a stronger presence in the room.
Yeah.
So she starts off by kind of just hanging out to the side, and then they start acting up, but she's still kind of just hanging out there, and she's not giving them kind of direct what she expects from them. She's saying be quiet, but maybe instead of be quiet, like what should you be doing? Like sit down, take out your homework, get out your writing utensil, take your seat quietly. Like she maybe could change her verbiage
Yes.
and just like her proximity to those students who are out of their seat or throwing things or
Something that you made me think of, something that you might want to write down. What happens in the first 5 minutes of class determines how the next 45 are going to go. And you hit the nail on the head. You want to be at the doorway, greeting students, reminding them of their entry protocols, right? To sit down, get your work out, be ready for instruction within 2-3 minutes tops, right? I would totally agree. She's off to the right. She's more passive than she is active. Eric?
Do you think, I mean, we didn't see the before, but she seemed like mad and upset at the beginning, which if you already have a tough class, it can be like dynamite. Like if you already have your backup, you're just saying like be quiet and sit down, and you have a student that's gonna challenge you on that.
Yes.
You've just like set up a situation with certain students, and she also wasn't addressing the student who was misbehaving. She was letting him have the floor and just sort of.
Yeah, and he had the power, didn't he?
Okay.
And she never took the power back. And that's her job. Alan, how do you take the power back?
This is a tough little video. I needed her to address the students that were acting out by their name. I did not hear any names. Did anybody hear the names? No. So I would have liked to had her speak to individual students. If you noticed, and I know you did, they were all in school uniforms. That's a great start. So something's going on in that school with uniformity. And I mean that in respect to uniforms and probably the code of conduct. But why they're acting this way with this teacher, her presence was really not there. Maybe she needed to raise her voice a drop. She did the I'll wait kind of situation and was quiet, but I don't think they were responding to that. So I think you mentioned consequences first. Maybe she needed to call one of the students up to the front of the room and maybe take out her cell phone and maybe make a call to the home. You know, when you have these kinds of situations, there's many right answers. You can't do them all at once. You just have to kind of piece it a little bit. If this was a one-shot deal, I don't think so. I think this is the way they might be acting in her class every time they come to this class. So her presence is not known. The consequences, I don't think, were there. She didn't say I'm putting any names on the board for me to call home, things like that. What else pops into your minds about this? Please.
She was kind of hiding. I don't know if it was the desk. If she was hiding behind the desk right from the beginning, and I thought that was the main problem right from the beginning.
I think Casey used the word, which I think it was you, proximity. Proximity is important. You got to move up to them. You've got to let them know that you're coming into their space a little bit. They were taking advantage, and she wasn't trying to take the advantage back on her side. Not easy now. This wasn't easy. All those things we just said, you could have done those, and they still would be acting like that. I don't know. I think, Eric, you mentioned where in the sequence of the week or the month is this taken. I hear you. I hear you. We all know that day one, you take control of that class. And then this doesn't happen later on. But some of you, and remember, new teachers get bounced around a little bit. If you think you're getting the best class in the school, when you come in, I don't think you are. Where do they put new teachers? Casey?
With the people that no one wants.
Probably yes. All the other teachers that are experienced, with 15 years experience, they're not going to put Steve into a class that he doesn't want. He's got some tenure, some presence on the teacher campus there. When Michael comes in, oh boy, Michael's going to the has-beens. He's going to get the classes that probably nobody wants. That's why we go back to what you said earlier about classroom management, that you need that. That's probably what everybody needs, not just this group of 5. All new teachers need a strong presence in classroom management.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the entry procedures one step farther. She's got the kids in pods of desks, probably pods of 4, right? How about if you give kids an incentive to sit down, to get going with their opening activity? There should be something, by the way, on the board, right? Something on the computer, an opening activity, a sponge. The first couple of groups, maybe 2 or 3, to get going, receive points on the point board, right? You already have them in groups, you might as well reward them, right? Now the kids have an incentive to come in, follow the teacher's directions. But what I always say is the kids should be just as concerned with following rules if the rewards are lifted, right? They have to know right from wrong, and while incentives are a good thing, they need to be able to follow those rules irregardless. And then I would have, Alan's idea, you call him out by name, the boy in the back, young man, why don't you come up and talk to me at my desk? And I'll do a couple of small conferences away from the group, as it were, right? And then I don't have time for that. I got to discipline the kid in front of his peers. But the first few times, sure, if they come into the class and they want to be known as a rabble rouser and a leader in that way, it behooves you to take them aside within the first couple days and make up a contract with them, right? Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing out of you, and this is what I need to see. Kind of as a side-by-side comparison chart. You came in, you were loud, you were not responsive to my rules. I need you to come in and be quiet and sit down, because here are the rewards, but if you want to have consequences, we'll do that too. So let them see both sides.
She might, eventually, if this is the situation, I mean, we're just seeing just a slice of the pie right here, and it's a big pie. But maybe somebody's got to be called. It's not the worst catastrophe in the world to call somebody from the office to come in and assist. I mean, there's going to be sometimes a class you're going to get that you need help with. You need some help with it. So asking somebody from the office to come in and join at a high school and a middle school, it could be a counselor dean. In the elementary school, it might be the assistant principal, it might be a coordinator there. Sometimes we have to ask for some help. Let me ask the class this. What do you think about something I mentioned? Do we pick up our cell phone and say, Robert, would you come please? Robert, what's your home phone? And call it in front of everybody? Maybe go outside and speak? What do you think about getting the parent involved in that kind of situation? I'm not sure. I'm asking you. We're exploring.
I don't know, I think for me, I just do it in after class or privately more, instead of embarrassing them from everyone. That's just my own opinion.
I don't want to embarrass. I like your idea about using the word embarrass. We don't want to embarrass, yes, but I got to get control here.
Right, so what I would do is I give him a behavior sheet or something, and he has to waste his time instead of me wasting my time, and I still have to run the class.
Okay.
So that's what I would do.
Okay.
And then if he doesn't comply with writing down what he did, then I'm telling me to just have to deal with the consequences that follow.
Do you think any one of those characters would follow your instructions?
Yeah, and if they don't, there's gonna be a lot of phone calls home that same day. So
Okay.
And if they're not listening, a lot of them are gonna be kicked out the next day. So I don't know.
Wait. A lot of them going to get kicked
Well,
out.
maybe not kicked out,
No,
but,
wait.
like,
We
you know.
can't do a lot of
I
them.
won't do that,
We'll pass down
but
to 2 people.
there's gonna be they're gonna hear from their parents though on what's happening, and they will probably shape up the next day, hopefully.
Okay.
So-
I'm going to add to that. Parents are our friends. Keep that in mind. You can't be scared of them. You've got to get them on your side early. They are very helpful. No parent wants to get calls from us, especially even though we make that first call is what?
Good news.
The good news, the positive news. We said that already. Yes. But we've got to let the parent know we love them, we love their kids, we believe in helping them, safety, but they've got to help us. And maybe we have to do what? And ask a parent to do something. We can't ask them to swat the kid, because that wouldn't be kind of legal. But what could we do the next day? We could ask the parent to do what the next day?
Talk to their kid, discipline them.
Talk to the kid, discipline him. What?
Take the phone or the iPad.
Take things away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer in Mrs. Jones. I really need you to come to school tomorrow and sit in on the class. You can't come tomorrow? You can come on Friday? Thank you. Don't tell Johnny that you're coming on Friday. The class is from 10 to 11. I'll let the main office know that you're coming in to pick up a visits class. Can you come in about 5 minutes to 10 and sit the whole hour? Yes, I can. Most parents want to help us. I really mean this. They might not be the nicest on the phone. They might even say F you a couple times to you. But I believe 99% of the parents you're going to deal with want to help you because they want to help their kid.
It's a partnership, and if you involve them early, nothing but good. Usually, nothing but good's going to happen. Sometimes you may lock horns, but if you treat them with respect, it usually comes back to you. I set the PowerPoint up from the perspective of a new teacher coming into a class. One of the first imprints that you get to make is setting up your room. It was kind of a challenge for me because you take it for granted your whole life, Well, how does a teacher set up their classroom? Well, number one, you could set it up by visiting colleagues, right, and asking them for advice. Teachers love to talk. Sit in on a professional development meeting and see that sometimes. Teachers love to talk. Also, don't be afraid to move the furniture around, right? Get an idea in your head. I would not suggest have them facing toward each other. I wouldn't even suggest putting groups of 4, pods of 4 desks, because they're going to talk. I would put them facing you, okay? And ideally, your desk should be up. Your desk should be so that when they're seated facing forward, you can look at their precious little faces, okay? Because that's going to give you a lot more information than looking at the backs of their heads, especially for the ones that are not following the rules. But you're going to find a configuration that works for you. I'm going to go back to the way I used to do it with the seats facing me, the front of the room where the board is. I just I've had too much talking, too much silliness this year, so I'm going to go back to the way I began it. I'm going to actually do a horseshoe. So I'm going to do a horseshoe around the room and have rows. It looks nice, and it looks a little bit more variety. Now they're encouraging teachers not to talk as much these days, right? They want the kids using academic language. So in times like that, turn to your elbow partner and talk about the quadratic formula. What's the formula? How do you use it? What are its applications? All right, and so they're in a group. You'll notice the first thing that I had you do I said, I'm going to give you a minute to perform this task. And then what did I do? I walked around the room, and I even made comments, right? Teachers are not supposed to be at their desks too much. I would say out of a 60-minute period, 55-minute period, I spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes at my desk. Maybe a little bit more. But most of the time, I want to give them general instruction. Excuse me, let me back up. I want to give them time to come in the classroom. I want to give them time to assemble and sit down and gather their thoughts. But I'm teaching within the first 5 minutes. You don't have time to waste. It goes back to a very important skill, time management. And then after teaching for 20, 25 minutes, you intersperse that with some time to dialogue about the curriculum. Then you have got to give them an opportunity to use their curriculum in a meaningful assignment. And that is a really good indication of how well behaved your kids are. When you could retreat to your desk, rest your voice for a while, and I will sit at my desk and I will look at them. And I'll look at the naughty ones, and I'll look at the good ones, and I want them to know that I am watching them like a hawk. And then I'll get up, and I'll often announce within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm going to be walking around, and I better like what I see. You know? They respect that kind of thing. Anyway, back to this.
I want to just say something about sitting down at your desk for a few minutes. Hey, we need a little rest. And it's not so easy sometimes, especially if you're in a middle or a high school and you've got 5 or 6 periods and you just can't run to the bathroom whenever you want. So you need a little bit break time to sit down. You're in an elementary school, you're going to go from start to kind of the first nutrition or break or recess, whatever you want to call it. You're going to go straight through from that. When the kids come back from recess and you come back from recess, you're going straight to lunch, hour and a half or so. So we need to kind of conserve ourselves a little bit. Something you might want to think about early in your teaching is some sort of a voice box situation where you got something, maybe one of these things, and you got a little speaker up here, and maybe you don't use it all the time. Maybe you use it for an hour or so just to give yourself a little break, taking some cough drops or something soothing for the throat. We have to think about those things.
Be cognizant to how hard you're working, because many voice problems, like Alan is talking about, are developed by teachers, and they have to go see doctors because of problems with their voice. So let the kids, leave them time at, I would say, the last 15 or so minutes of every period. That way you can sit down and recharge and get ready for the next period, right? Grade some papers, take roll, and then look, the class is expected to be quiet, and if they're not quiet, then that's where you get your authoritative voice out. Be prepared. I would say one of the best ways to get a school year going is having a classroom activity. A team building type of activity is great. I'm going to go over an example in just a second. Also, I'll walk through your syllabus. I do interactive talks when it comes to my syllabus. For example, I'll have 2 desks together, and I'll be talking about the importance of being a good, being a clean neighbor. And I'll say, will you rather sit next to a messy desk, and I'll have a balled up sweater and strewn about papers and pens and a little trash, or would you like to be in this desk, nice and orderly and neat? If you give examples like that, they're going to remember these things, right? I've got 2 trash cans in the front and the back. If you need to use them, please use my trash cans. I don't want to see a mess on your table or on my floor at the end of the period. That's what I expect. By the way, I tell my substitute that when I have to have subs, I want my classroom neat when you leave, please. Okay. A creative lesson that will get the ball rolling, we'll talk about that, and an interesting worksheet or two, because you're probably not going to get your books right away, right? So have some time fillers. I'll think of a couple creative lessons to start off the year that don't need books, right? Because you're not going to get them right away. If you go to the education station, I think they're still open. You can find some good, some creative worksheets, right? And they're all standards based, right? Common Core is a little bit different, but you can go and find some fillers like that, and that way. And by the way, go and get them copied, because the day before school there's going to be a run on the copier room.
Steve just mentioned education station. Everybody knows what that is?
I don't.
Okay. Does anybody know what Lakeshore
Yeah.
is? What is Lakeshore?
Lakeshore is a store you spend a lot of money at. You can spend a lot. Yeah, it has, books from every grade, workbooks, it has great, games.
So education station is another kind of store that, like Lakeshore. Lakeshore's pretty big, got a lot of things about a lot of subjects, a lot of workbooks, a lot of laminating, a lot of toys, educational things, educational games. Yes, you might have to spend a couple of bucks. Must you spend a couple of bucks? No way. No one says you have to spend any money on those kids. But do you want to make your life a little easier? Do you want to kind of get some things that are already made up, that you don't have to do any thinking, you just have to do some Xeroxing and spending a few bucks? You might want to have to do that. A teacher from this class about 2 years ago sent me an email today. We've kept in touch. He sent me an email today. I just got hired at KIPP Charter Schools. I'm going to teach 6th grade social studies in August. What are your thoughts, Alan? So I gave him a few thoughts, but the biggest thing I said to him was, you're going to teach 6th grade social studies at a school next year. You signed the contract. Well, ask that school if they have any social studies 6th grade books. Start some planning now if time allows. Steve and I had hot dogs a couple of hours ago. Well, I had the hot dog. He had some fancy sandwich. I ate my stand hot dog that I like with my French fries and my lemonade.
Yeah.
That was good.
Treat yourself sometime.
He had a big sandwich. I
That's good.
treated him, so he said, I'm going to get the biggest sandwich I can.
I know.
Point being, I asked Steve, you think you can steal me a couple of 6th grade social studies books from your school so I can give them to this guy? He said, sure. So I'm going to stay on him to get a book or two for this other teacher. Why? Because if he does his job, he will start to plan now, slowly, for August. If you get a job and you have to be ready to go to work the next day, it's not going to be so easy. And you got to be on your job the next day for that assignment. And when you walk in that day, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for you that they don't switch it. You thought you were going to do 9th grade math. Well, now they got you in 11th grade something because the 9th grade math went to someone else, to an experienced teacher who didn't want to teach 11th grade whatever they teach. So they might switch on you, and that's okay because you got a job. You might have to run to Lakeshore to get some materials. But the idea is plan some things now for your next assignment, or let me ask you this. You're all going to be student teaching pretty soon, am I correct? Eric, when are you student teaching?
I'll be in elementary school. So
When?
What?
When?
I don't know. I haven't coordinated.
Ballpark. If
My coursework will be done in August, so maybe September.
okay. Remember now, you're going to be student teaching. You're going to be getting a grade. You're going to be a mentor teacher. So you need to begin as it works into your schedule. I know you're busy. I know that. And you got these classes. I know that. You got homework. I know that. and you got other responsibilities. I know that. But one of these days, you're going to be in front of a bunch of kids for student teaching, and you want to get a good grade there and a good experience. You got to get your toolbox ready slowly but surely now. So cancel any summer plans. No vacations. That's over with.
No, they can go on vacation. They'll just be thinking about their job while they're vacationing. They'll be strategizing. They'll be. The name of the game is staying 1 foot ahead of your students.
Yes.
Right? And that makes it fun because you get to constantly invest in learning activities, different types of lesson plans that you may not have done. For me, I can't teach the same thing all day. I don't think I would make a very good one subject high school teacher. Maybe two different math subjects, geometry, algebra 1. But I'm not good at repetitive tasks. To me, it gets dull and boring. I need to give myself a lot of variety, and a lot of that is being creative and constantly thinking of new lessons, new areas of knowledge and new applications for that knowledge. You reminded me of Jaime Escalante's first day. He came in as an intro to computers teacher, and the receptionist said, the school manager, we don't have computers. So,
Wait, I gotta ask the class. Casey, who's Jaime Escalante? Michael, who's Jaime Escalante?
I don't know.
Eric, help me, somebody.
I don't know that.
Marcus, who's Jaime? What?
But there was a.
There was a movie.
Well, I don't know.
stand and deliver.
So Jaime Escalante was a math teacher in East LA,
Garfield High School.
Garfield High School, and he was a kind of a guy that we all want to be. To take kids who hate a subject or could care less, got so many other things on their plate at home, problems, this problem, that, and he was able to get them to learn. And the bottom line for the movie Stand and Deliver was Edward James Olmos played Jaime Escalante. I would suggest someday with a couple of beers and 5 glasses of wine and some popcorn, watch Stand and Deliver at home. Get it. It's old, probably on YouTube or something. It's a good movie. I mean, it's good for us because it hits us in our heart. And if you're a teacher, you're going to feel it. You will feel it. Why? Because a teacher working with kids who were just lost. And actually, he got a group of kids who are no names and nobodies, everybody thought, and the past, the advanced placement math, was it calculus, or I don't remember the subject exactly, but it was an advanced math class program test that they all passed. And the state of California said no way you could have done that, and made all the kids take it over again because they didn't believe they could have passed it. They said no way they could have passed it. They made them take it over again, and they all passed it over again. A different test. Something for us to think about. Dealing with groups of kids who are just lost.
It was inner city, East LA, and if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. That's what I said after my assignment with Alan. If I could take on this assignment and still be alive at the end of it, I must be getting to be a better teacher. You know. I'm gonna just go on one more thing. Introduce yourself to the office manager and find out where the forms are. Find out where the free supplies are, so you don't have to spend a lot of money, right? And that's going to be one of your best friends. Treat her like gold, because she can make your life miserable, or you could be golden with her. You know?
Who is that person, Michael? Who's he talking about?
The office manager?
Yeah, who is that?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think you said that she just They give you supplies and
I've never met a male office manager, so that's why I'm using the pro.
Eric, who is that?
I don't know. I can guess, but I won't.
Take a guess, come on.
Well, I mean, like you said, she's the gateway to supplies.
So-
She's not the front. She's not the front secretary.
Correct.
She's not answering the phone.
Correct.
She's basically an administrator, but she's
Basically.
managing the office.
Yes.
So she's probably dealing with the principals. She's dealing with the secretaries. She's in the middle of the office.
She or he are the principal's main go-to classified people. They don't have credentials, they're classified, they're clerical. But she or he is the main clerical person at the school. Very important person. While we're on that subject, that's one person. Who else, Michael, are we gonna be best of friends with? One other person. And Marcus, you're gonna get the third question, so get ready.
just the principal.
Well, I think Michael is right. If we were friends with the principal, maybe we wouldn't have to work. So that's a good person.
I think our guest last week said.
Yes, I'm trying to go back to last week, yes.
Maintenance.
The plant manager. That's the maintenance person. The person who's in charge of the plant. The lights, the locks, the doors, moving chairs, bringing you extra chairs, things like that. So that's two people. Marcus,
Yeah, what's up?
who's the third person? What's up?
The third person, maintenance. I was gonna say the maintenance person. But
No, you got no.
No,
Don't copy, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we got that already.
Uh-huh.
We got the office secretary,
Yeah.
which is the principal's secretary, office manager, whatever they're called. Now they're called in
The
LA.
coaches are on a-
In LA Unified, they're called administrative assistants. That's kind of they moved them up in names, AA. But now, Marcus, the third person is
Maybe the coaches. Maybe coaches.
maybe, but the third person is
Your next door neighbor, maybe?
the next door neighbor always. But I'm looking for the cafeteria manager. The cafeteria manager. Three good people to know. The plant, the cafeteria, and the school secretary. Of course, the principal, the coaches, your next door neighbor, of course.
I'm taking my class on a field trip to the California Science Center, and I've already got my request for 90 lunches into the cafeteria manager, because they get upset, and rightly so. They've got a lot to plan, and it's kind of nice. It's real nice when you get to be friends with these people, and you're not surprising them. You're not putting them down. This is their job, so respect goes a long way. And going back to the office manager, she's going to call you to see if you can cover classes. And you got to have a can-do attitude. Sometimes you may have to cut your planning short. You plan something to do with that time, and the school may need you. And you got to cover a class with a bunch of disobedient kids. And it's not going to work if you sit down and grade your papers, right? You got to be up in front of them. So that's going to be more stamina, but it's not every day. And most of the classes for the friends that I go and substitute for the hour, they've got it going on when it comes to classroom management. So you step in. Now I have had a couple times where I've had to really lay down the law, because a week ago Friday the teacher had horrible classroom management. And while he was in the classroom, I let the kids know as he was passing the reins to me, you are expected to do these things. I wanted him to know that I was going to hold them to those expectations. The door shut, he left, and I was on him. I had to be on him for a good minute or two because they weren't used to me. A lot of them had me, and they remembered me, but now that they moved to 7th grade, I was their kind of buddy again. They wanted to say hi to
When
me.
Steve says the words cover classes, not the elementary people, you two. What is he talking about? You two. Cover classes. What is that? Heck is that?
Like if a teacher needs to leave unexpectedly, or if theirs have canceled, or for any reason a teacher can't be in their room.
Go to an IEP.
They might have, instead of calling like a sub-in, they might call just to see if any other teacher on campus has a open period to step in.
Because secondary people usually have, secondary, 6 through 12, secondary program, a middle and high school, usually have one period out of the day that it's their preparation period. Well, the school can take that away if it needs to. For instance, my preparation period is period 3. I'm sitting in my room at the beginning of 3, the phone rings, Mr. Scher, would you go to room 42? Casey is never here, and she's not here again today. Would you go cover Casey's room? Oh, her again? Yes, ma'am. And we go. Sometimes, when we do that, we get paid. We get extra pay. 1 hour's worth of pay. Not bad. Sometimes, we don't get paid. We're asked to do it free of charge. They're allowed to do that. Elementary people now, you're not going to be sent out of your room to cover because you've got 27, 28, 29 kids. But what is an elementary school going to do to you? You 3 are teachers, 4th grade teachers. Here's our 4th grade teacher that's never around. She's a screw up. She's a screw up. She's a professional screw up. So she didn't call in a sub today. And she just doesn't show.
Are they going to combine classes?
What are they going to do?
Combine classes?
What do you mean combine? I don't get that. Combined class. I don't understand.
All of them in the same room.
Say what?
60 kids? I don't know.
No, they're not going to do 60.
Okay.
Remember what I said, Eric.
Yeah.
We got 3 of you are 4th grade teachers.
Oh, okay.
She's a 4th grade screw-up teacher.
Oh, they'll divide it up.
They're going to divide it up by 3.
Yeah.
So her 30 kids are going to go 10, 10, and 10. The school secretary is going to, I hope, call you and say, screw up Casey is not here again. We're sending 10 kids each to you. You'll get, watch this, you'll get some pay for that extra 10. It's not a freebie. It's not a freebie in most districts.
It's like OT.
It's like OT. You'll get extra pay that day because you just picked up 10 extra kids. So the elementary school, they split up the teachers' classes. In the secondary program, they don't split up the class. They just find people on the campus to cover that period. But I'm going to go back to what Steve said. You're going to get some extra money. It's not so bad. You're going to have to go into a classroom that's a little maybe, unruly or something like that. You 3 guys are going to have to pick up some extra kids that day. Probably not 10. They usually do 4 or 5 in the elementary program. 4 or 5. They won't put 10 all of a sudden on you because that's a lot of kids. But you'll get some extra money. You'll have to do it. But my point that I want to lead to is, when the school secretary calls, you probably got to smile and talk nice on the phone. No problem, I'll go cover that class. What room number? 42. You want me to sign the approval slip later in the day? Yes, come on over. And when they send you 3 or 4, yes, no problem. If they abuse you too much, well, then you'll have to say something. They usually don't abuse you too much. But being nice to the school secretary is extremely important, because one day Eric's going to call in at 8 o'clock. Mrs. Jones, I got a flat tire. Can you help me out? Eric, no problem. You've helped us out so many times. I'll take care of the class. Drive slow, get it fixed, and get here as soon as you can. I'll take care of it. You had a question?
Yeah, can they send in 10 more even if you're at the limit already? Or just for like special occasions?
They don't want to. They're not going to abuse you. I mean, in LA Unified, you're under contract, you got a union. They're not going to abuse you. But
They're allowed to.
But if they need you, you got to help out a little bit. I said, if they abuse you all the time, well, then you better speak up. But once in a while, they might ask for your help, because they're stuck that day. They're stuck.
Yeah, I used to be UTLA rep, and I would meet with once a week with the principal, and one of the common complaints that she had was teachers who refused to cover. And she wanted me to talk to the staff about that as the liaison. That look, we got to be a team here, because things happen, especially in LA, right? Traffic, and you got to be a team player. And if the office manager gets some flack from you, guess who she's going to talk to next? Principal. You're going to get a bad name.
When they do these things of coverage, usually the school secretary is keeping a record of who says yes and who says no. They keep a little record because they don't want to abuse you. If Michael is always saying yes to coverage, they're going to try to go to Casey or Eric a few more times and not keep bugging Michael. Most people are decent and fair at schools. They're not abusive. Not really. There might be abusive one or two here or there, but generally they're fair to us.
So some examples of those icebreaker activities at the beginning of the year. Call this a student scavenger hunt. I can send this to you online if you'd like. Basically involves a bingo style box of 3 across and 5 deep, and the kids have to get certain questions from their classmates answered. Right? And here, I think I put down here that you can't get a signature repeated, and you got to be honest, of course. So lay the ground rules, and then you're going to see kids walking all around the room. And I've got more questions, but you're just some of them. Who was born in the same month as you? Whose last name begins with the same letter as yours? Find a person who attended your elementary and middle school. Find someone who had cereal for breakfast today. Find someone whose favorite sport is baseball. And the point is really to what? Get them to know each other, right? Yeah. And then you're interacting. You're walking around and listening in on the conversations. Fun. There's parameters for everything though. Decorate your name card. I like to do this one, so you guys all have name cards, except for Michael. When you have them make up a name card, on the back of it, you can get a piece of paper and divide it up into four quadrants, right? In the first quadrant, what is your favorite sport and why? Maybe do a different one, favorite activity, because not all kids are into sports. What is your favorite subject in school? What do you like about the subject? 3, who has been one of your favorite teachers? Why did you enjoy their class? You'll get to know something about the kid in the process. Favorite ice cream? Okay, what's your favorite ice cream? Then on the right side, so that would be on the left. I guess this is going to be a larger name card. On the right side, they can draw a picture of a significant event that happened to them last year. And then they can color it, and then they can present it. It's a great first assignment, because you've got their interests, and then you've got something artistically created. And I'm a 6th grade teacher. I'm always hearing stories about their elementary. It's more communal in elementary schools, right? The teachers dote on them and love them, and I do too. But it's more accelerated when they come to me. I'm sharing them with my team teacher, the math and science teacher who teaches next door. We have a great friendship together, and we're bouncing the kids. We've got a block schedule, so I've got I've got English and history, and then my elective, and then at the end of the day after lunch, it's and the other kids, English and history. So it's 3 preps. That's enough variety for me. Any more than 3, you're working really hard. Any question on preps? What's a prep? We're going to be talking about planning in just a second, but it's just I enjoy the variety. Hopefully the subject that you're teaching, you really enjoy it. It's going to consume most of your day. So I'm going to go over some general rules. These are my rules. I've got up here as the header, establish your rules, procedures, and consequences within the first 2 weeks. Alan said the first couple days, absolutely. Keep hammering those home within the first 1 to 2 months. The kids cannot hear it enough. How do we define rules and procedures? Rules are the things that they must do to be successful, and the procedures are the way they follow those guidelines. I'll give you a few examples. My first rule: be respectful to your teachers and classmates at all times. When you want to speak, raise your hand and wait for me to call on you. By the way, remember, I'll send this all to you, okay? You don't have to write it all down. Number 3, turn in all assignments in on time. You are responsible for make-up work when absent. I'm very serious about my homework policy, and that is 1 time I will get the phone out. 2 times. Kid has disrespected me in class. I'll go outside. I'll leave the door open. I'll make the call. I don't do it all the time because it takes time. But chronic cases I will. And a couple times a week I'll have the no homework kids. I actually have an aide. I'm blessed to have an aide this year. So she takes my phone and she takes care of it outside. I leave the door propped open. I tell them don't spend any more than about a minute or 2. And those kids that call home, they have detention usually the next day. Yeah. So the kids know, and I tell them all the time, work hard, play later. You got one job in life, that's to get your work done. It's usually homework the kids are going to slack off on. So if you've got criteria for grading, a lot of times the homework is going to be, those are going to be your zeros, your incompletes. Why? Because the kid misappropriated their time and they chose to do Fortnite. Don't get me started on Fortnite. Number 4, work diligently on all your assignments. You'll need to complete a predetermined amount of work before you leave. That's a big one because as the kids are sitting in their chairs, I'll often remind them, look, you've got notes to take, you've got questions to answer, and I want to see 2 paragraphs before you leave. That's your ticket out of the door. That's really effective because then the kids say, well, I want to leave with my friends. Better get going here. And they'll get to work. Come prepared to school with all of your supplies. Nothing irks me more than kids come to school without their supplies. That's another time that I'll call because it's completely avoidable. But a lot of times kids that don't want to bring their supplies in are the who? Are the ones that don't want to do the work. So you got to put the impetus on. You got to put the onus on them. This is a big one. If you want to get out of your seat, quietly ask for permission and don't interrupt the lesson. They need to have your permission to get out of the chairs. They can't just float around like butterflies. Okay? That doesn't work. If they want to get up, throw their trash away. If it's chronic, I'll just say tape a bag to your desk and get over it. I'm tired of you getting up, right? A lot of times they like to get up and sharpen their pencils, and I don't have a mechanical pencil sharpener in my room because they drive me crazy. It broke a long time ago and I never got it fixed. So that's part of the supplies that I have them get, and I put that on their syllabus. Pencil sharpeners or a mechanical pencil. Keep your desk and work areas clean. That's a big one because I'll walk around and inspect their desk before they leave. Use the restroom during breaks. Bathroom privileges will be given out sparingly during class time. Another time waster. Can I get up and go to the restroom? The teacher opposite me, out my door, her kids are going out on a revolving door. And she allows them to do it. Right? By the time the kids reach 6th grade, they can control their bladder for the most part. But if kids got to go, you can generally see it on their face, let them go. Don't take a chance on that. Keep all electronics powered down and put away during the school day. Phones or ring or buzz will be confiscated or brought to the office. So we've got the procedure, and you place the phone in a bag, and you fill out a slip, and parents got to come pick it up. And kids now have devices. They've got laptops. First year that we're doing that, we rolled them out just last month. So that's a lot of technology. No excuse to have the phone on. So if I catch them, if they ring, kid's phone rang in his backpack, and I have to take it away. You can't let and he was a really good kid. but you can't have exceptions like that. You gotta be consistent.
How many students do you have?
About 30, 32 for one and 30 for the other class. And the technology, Alan and I were talking about that. It's gonna be an issue. If you're teaching, they need to have their eyes on you, and because if their laptop's open, what are they probably gonna be looking at?
Are they doing that? Are they
Oh yeah,
involved in that?
because I know you could read their facial expressions after a while. You know exactly what's going on. Right? So if their laptops are open and they're not looking up something that I've asked them to look up, research, etc., they stay closed. Right? There's just a lot of temptation. So my rule is, if I'm teaching in the general session, they're closed, and then when I say, okay, open up your laptops and research the Mesopotamian civilization, then it's fun, right? Help them do searches on the search engine, because it's just there's so much, and show them how to search and what code words to use. For example, going back to Mesopotamia, if I want to look up, we're actually doing the Indus River Valley right now in India. Indus River Valley, one of the first civilizations ever. It grew up around the Indus River. This is where they had enough water to grow their crops, and then the city started, and then the artisan goods, and then I give them a search like Indus River Valley artifacts, and then if you want to take it to another level, you could have them type in students or kids, and that takes the lexile down a little bit, because all this information, they got to be able to wade through it. So kids or students will keep the information not as complicated. Sorry about that. Procedures. When you come into class, walk to your seat, take out your homework, and begin the opening assignment. Hand your papers correctly. This is a big one. Kids don't like to do this. And that's a big one for me. So I'll start out at the beginning of the year having a piece of paper drawn on the board. Upper right-hand corner, name, period, date. Assignment line is where they need to write their assignment. And I say, if I don't know what the assignment is, then I can't properly grade it. If your last name's not on there and there's two wands in the class, we got problems. Okay, so my rule is do that first, so that they're not all doing that when it's time to turn them in. Speaking of turning assignments in, when turning them in, pass them down the aisle to your row leader's desk. A lot of times I'll go with my checklist to make sure they've completed assignments, because that's a big job. Scanning the assignments with, the homework. So if you have an aide, even better. Okay, Alan, maybe you have some ideas. But sometimes I'll write on the board, I want to see the history assignment over here, the reading assignment over here on the right side of the desk, and I'm going to walk around, and if I don't see them, we're going to have a talk after class. Sometimes I'll pick up my phone. If I've got 4 people, I might just take care of it. And I gave the class last week a lecture. I said, guys, we're 3/4 through the year, and I had 9 calls to make. And I did not forget to make the rest of the calls when I got home. I made about 5 in class, and I got to write that note down and stick it in my pocket, because sometimes it'll be on my desk at work, and who were those kids, right? You got to be consistent, you got to follow through.
I think procedures, as we all know, are important. And you got to establish them with the youngsters early, and you're going to have to repeat it for a while. And when a new kid comes in, they have to hear it. Maybe it's going to be nice and written down so the new kid could read it, take it home to their parent, have their parents sign a little contract about the procedures. That means absolutely nothing at the moment. What we need to get accomplished is for the youngster to learn the procedures. What to do about coming into the room, where to put the materials if you're absent, where to go to find the work. Every youngster, in a way, should, especially 6th, 7th, and 6th, all the way to high school, that's easy. In the elementary school, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. Upper elementary, not so bad. Point being, they should have the phone numbers of a few of their friends, so if they are absent, call the friend, please, and get the assignments. What did we do today, so you can stay on top of our work. If you can get that procedure accomplished, it helps you. All these procedures are lots of different things to do. They're all headaches. They are. There's a lot of things there. And that's just Steve's procedures. You'll all have them. But if you can get the kids to learn
Your system.
most of them, it makes your life easier. You can teach, you can relax, you can not kill yourself, and that's important. And most kids will follow our procedures. They will. They will.
The agenda, the district budget?
Yeah, there's an agenda under Casey's. Yeah. So we get our teacher agenda. Casey, could you hold that, please? We get our teacher agenda, and we've got green gold scheduled days, and that means they alternate the morning and the afternoon periods. And then Casey, you're the model. You get this. So they've got wise sayings, and sometimes we'll use them as a journal. Casey, just go to someplace in January, or anywhere, and read one of the wise sayings.
Diligence. Be diligent with your work habits. Organization and thoroughness will take you far.
Great journal.
No, in middle school and high school, especially middle school, not especially. In a number of middle schools, they will buy one of these agendas for every kid. And then if the kid loses it, maybe they have to buy one somewhere at the school for $2 or $3 or $4 or $5, whatever. In the elementary school, they're probably not buying these, even in the upper grades, 3, 4, and 5. Probably not. But doesn't mean you 3 elementary extraordinary teachers couldn't create some sort of planner. If your high school doesn't have a planner, you can at least create it out of their notebooks. Something where you can have them keep some organization going. A lot of LAUSD schools went to buying these planners years ago. Maybe it's trickling off now, I don't know. But the idea is organization. Plus, they put in things, multiplication tables, points of interest, lots of other things that the kids could use.
Yes, a lot of helps, and especially the beginning. Dismissal times, you know. Anybody know how to full screen this? We don't see this rectangle.
What rectangle?
Yeah, so I can just full screen it.
I don't even see it.
This button. Yeah,
Okay. So, yeah, and you guys know I'm a stickler on homework. You probably will be too. Now, one of those procedures is getting more simplified in that we have Schoology, and Schoology, like a lot of LAUSD campuses, you submit the homework online, no paper. And so you grade it, and you import the grades directly into Schoology. It's real convenient. I like paper. I'm old school. I'm going to have to get used to the computer style. But you know, it's great because you don't even have to use paper. You can grade it. You can comment. You can see which students turned it in on time. There's a time stamp on it. And if you don't like kids staying up too late, you could set the parameters at 9, 10 o'clock. I say 9 o'clock should be your cutoff, right? And if the kids submit it after that, well, you can either dock them points or do something else. Really cool. Schoology, it's coming
Can
to
the parents sign can the parents sign off on it?
That would be something to put in the syllabus, I would believe. Yeah, that expect to look at the Schoology assignment with your son or daughter. Yeah, and then write the assignment. And then Casey, one more time, if you could open up the agenda planner, So what I'll have the kids do is write the assignment down in their agenda planner. Casey, just go ahead and play. You're natural. Awesome. And then each of those subject boxes, or each of those boxes vertically, they all have, they're arranged by subject matter. And then I'll do something else. I'll put in remind.com, which is something that our school invested in, the homework for the night, and it gives an automatic text to parents. Because you have a lot of kids that say, I lost my agenda.
What was the name of it?
It's called remind.com.
Reminder.
Yeah, it works really well.
So some schools and some school districts are big on technology. You heard Steve use the word schoolology, LA Unified. Is remind.com open to anybody? I'm asking.
The school's got to buy it.
School's got to buy it. So check and see what's going on out there, because the world of technology is at your footsteps right now. It's going to get even more involved, much more involved. Each school district has their own systems that they use, their own software. LA Unified is using these things called MISIS and Schoolology and Dashboard. Your different school districts are going to be using similar, but maybe with a different name.
And when the MISIS isn't working, what's it called, Alan? MISIS crisis.
I like
Happens
that.
often. Okay, Eric, would you mind reading the concept? By the way, as Eric's gonna, my buddy's gonna read up here, listen, this is called progressive discipline, right? Each step gets a little bit more severe.
A warning, like you blew it, now own it, let's move on. Second, you'll receive a campus beautification slip to have a conference with you during the next break. Then, your parents will be called and you'll receive a detention, followed by step 3. Step 2 will also include a meeting with your parents and developing being placed on behavior academic improvement.
What, I don't understand something, Steve. Or maybe somebody else can answer rather than Steve. Campus beautification slip, what the heck is that, Michael? What the heck is that?
Basically like community service.
Yeah, they don't save the orange vest.
Right,
Yeah, so they receive an official school, campus beautification slip. It's not a triplicate, right? It doesn't have, but it has room for the kid's name, the date, the infraction, and then a supervisor's sign off. That's down in the yard.
So in other words, at a break, the kid's gonna do some cleanup. Now, your school might not like that, so you won't do that. You won't do that on your own. You'll ask the principal, the assistant principal, somebody, do we do school cleanup? Can I do paper pickup at break or whatever? No, we don't do that here. Well, then you won't do it. If they allow it, and maybe they even do it, which I hope your schools that you'll be at will do things school-wide. Have school-wide awards, school-wide consequences, school-wide assemblies, school-wide just backing you up on all of the different things you're doing in your classroom. If your school does that, you're okay, you got a little help. If not, you're gonna have to come up with some of these on your own with permission from the principal or the assistant principal about doing certain types of things like campus beautification.
So my next question is for all of you. If you see that a student is, there's two scenarios. First scenario, the young lady is talkative that day, so you warn her, and these tendencies are becoming more of a once a week type of thing. What do you do in that situation? Talking during your lessons, not giving you eye contact. What do you do? Have a conference, right? So you are free to jump from 1 to 3, right? You can give her the campus beautification. You can call the parents and arrange a meeting. It's your discretion. But if someone's not listening, if a student's not listening, you got to do something that is going to get their attention. And very often, It's the parent coming in that's going to get the kid's attention. And the conversation is going to be intense that night because you're going to make that call again, and maybe they're going to know, maybe it's going to be a cold call, like Helen said, but they need something more severe. A once in a while type of thing, then you can move on to, hey, a warning. It's usually all kids need. But I have got a young lady in my class, and she likes being known as the vocal one, right? She wears it as a badge of honor, so she knows she's talkative, and for kids like that, I just call on them a lot. You know, you gotta give them an opportunity, give them an outlet to speak, and often that will defuse the situation. If they want to be naughty, you'll know it because just the way she looks at me, I know she's trying me, right? She's challenging me, and then you got to say, well, we got a different kind of student here. And by the way, she's not necessarily the girl I'm thinking of, not malicious. She just likes to challenge people. I think that's the way she is. So you got to be up to the challenge.
But we don't want to take that challenge on head on, face to face. We don't want to make her look bad in front of her peers, right? Help me, am I right?
And that's the natural tendency to do.
You gotta be careful.
You got to resist it.
You gotta resist that.
Call the parents in, have them sit with the student. Don't say the student when you're talking to the parents because that's their son or their daughter, right? Kind of bothers me when that happens. No, that's their child. So respect the parents, respect the child, but that's what Alan said. Keep close contact with the parents so they can help. If you got a triangular relationship, yourself, the teacher, the student, and the parent, and you connect those three, right? Connect those angles, you got a powerful team.
Steve, I got a question for you. Do you have any Spanish-speaking kids in your class?
Yes, most of them are.
I'm sorry. Do you have any Spanish-speaking parents of youngsters in your class?
There's about a quarter of them that can't
So
speak.
when you call them, do you speak Spanish? So how do you communicate? Poquito. So how do you communicate?
I gotta get creative, Alan. Usually an older sibling, and if I have to, I can understand a little Spanish. I know if the kid's doing BS on me, right? So I'll have the child on a three-way a conference call, explain the situation, and sometimes it's like Ralphie when Ralphie had to eat soap because he said the dirty word. You can hear the parent on the other end of the line, you know. But conference calls, I really do, because the kid can't run, they can't evade the issue.
So the very most important thing is if the family doesn't speak your language, that's no reason for not calling. You have to come up with some creative ways to get that call.
I like calling.
What's that?
I like to call.
He likes to call.
I like the challenge of it. I like to picture the little kid squirming on the other end of the line, especially if they made my day miserable. And
He's trying to get back at the kids now.
I like it. I want to see him change though. The net result should be, and it's going to happen. You make that call, you'll see a behavior change the next day.
So if there is a language barrier, you got to come up with some ideas. You might call home and hopefully they have a older sibling, brother or sister. That's not a bad way to do it. If you think that there's nobody at your home that speaks the language and you can't, then maybe you try to make that call before you leave school and you become friends with some secretaries or some TAs and maybe you get some help that way. You've got to come up with some ways. I would suggest, of course, if you're planning to go into a school system or a school that speaks other languages, that maybe you spend a few moments trying to learn another language. I don't mean so that you can speak like a native. I just mean learning the words of schools, the words that need to get across in a short conversation to get a parent to kind of listen to you. When we speak another language and we've learned it a little bit, I mean a little bit, it says something to the parent. I have been in a lot of Spanish-speaking schools. I speak less than poquito, okay? I speak half a poquito. But I'd have a clerical person with me, or sometimes I'd even use a student or a teacher assistant. A parent will see that maybe I don't speak the language or didn't speak the language, but at least I got someone there that could. If you can learn a few words or phrases that are part of the language, that's only a plus for you. Some schools will have some in-service time where they will teach the school phrases to you at an in-service, at a professional development, at a PD of your school. Great. Whatever you can do in that area could only be helpful to you.
Okay, do
Yes.
people still pick up the phone when you call parents, or
They pick
would
up the
email be
phone, but sometimes the phone numbers don't work. Sometimes you leave a message and they don't get back to you. Sometimes there are other numbers to call, emergency numbers, and I'll call those people and leave a message. Please, I'm trying to get a hold of parents. The number's not working. Would you pass on a message? Yeah.
Well, let's hit that for a second. I'm glad you brought that up. So, in the beginning of class, we're asking for phone numbers, right? Addresses, names, some sort of, you're gonna all give me your profile sheet today, I hope. After Steve talks, profile sheets get handed in. Ah, Marcus, he's done. He's showing off now. That's okay, Marcus. We know who the A students are in this class. Yes. So we get phone numbers, but Steve said maybe a month into school, the numbers don't work anymore. So where do we go then for phone numbers? Michael?
I mean, if the phone doesn't work anymore, maybe they change numbers, so maybe you can just ask the kid what's the new updated.
We can always ask the kid. Yes. Casey, where do we go when the kid says, I don't know?
I don't know about phone numbers, but I would always get like their email address or preferred contact method.
Okay. High schools?
Go to the office.
Okay,
The
keep going.
Secretary or the office manager.
Yes. Now, where in the office might be two places that there's two things that should have some numbers. Maybe they don't work anymore, but should have some. Two places in probably two different parts of the school that usually has numbers.
Nursing office?
What?
Nursing office?
The nursing office should always have an emergency card. That's almost like a requirement nowadays, that the kid fills it out. Could the numbers all be wrong? Of course they could all be wrong. They might all be wrong. But Steve said there might be some relatives' names on there that the number is not wrong. We call the relative, ask for the number. I don't know the number, but I'm going to see Mr. Jones tomorrow. Would you give him a message? Would you write down my name and number and ask him to call me? Boom. Do we want to give out our cell phone numbers? That's your business. If I was in your if I were in your shoes right now, they'd have my cell phone number labeled on their forehead. I put it there with a permanent marker. That's what I believe in. I could care less if they call me. Are they going to call me and be abusive to me on the phone? Maybe once out of 100 calls, somebody might get the number and be abusive. So what? So I'll delete the number. I'll block that number from the future. But that's one way. Some schools say, don't give out your cell number. If that's the school that says that, then don't give out your cell. Follow procedures. So we got the nurse's office. I told you, A student, Michael. You can learn from your brother. He's an A student. There's no question about it. I can tell right away. And I also tell a lot of stories. And most of them are not true. Besides the nurse's office, we talked about it last week. Where do we go to check on some anecdotal records from the past about the kid? Come on now, you're making me look bad in front of Steve.
Cume files?
Well, I can't hear you.
They're cume
You're the
files.
person who answered it last time. I can't hear you. One more time.
Cume file.
Cume file. The cumulative records might have some older stuff that might be valid. So I guess where I'm trying to lead and spending the last 2 minutes on this, that you don't give up if the number's not right. You got to get the number. Somebody asked me the other day, I don't know who it was, about going to the family's home. And I don't think it was this class. That's a choice you make.
Judy Trujillo used to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teachers that'll go to the homes of kids. Do I suggest that? I don't suggest it. If you feel you're able to, and it's okay, and you feel safe, then no problem. Is the school's gonna say go and cover you? No, they're not gonna say that. But gee, you make a heck of an impression. A heck of an impression to go to a home, to go to a home of a kid and speak to the parent in a positive way. I'll bet you the next day that visit travels around the whole classroom. The rest of the class come to my home. I don't want that damn teacher in my home. I better behave. That's what they kind of say. But the parent says, oh, wow, you came to my home. You must care about my kid. Something like that. Do I suggest that? No. Do I think it's a good idea? Yes. Do I think you have to decide yourself if you can do it? I asked my better half to go to some homes this past school year. You know what she said to me? Hell no. She said, I'm not going. I said, I'll go with you. I'll knock on the door. I know what to do. You speak Spanish, I'll do the rest of the talking. She speaks fluent. She said, hell no. She ain't going. It's not her to go to visit homes. It's just not. But somebody else, it might be. You'll have to make that decision.
They say opposites attract.
That's why we together, I guess.
Oh, you love birds. Parental involvement, we're going to boogie through this so you guys go onto a break. Contact parents early and set up an educational partnership with them. And we talked about that triangular relationship. Is that a young lady and her grandma or her mom? I don't really know. But when you go and do that home visit and the family gets talking for the right reasons, you are now in a very favorable category. Let's just say that. And then if you need to call on them throughout the year, maybe about a disciplinary issue, you got so much more buy-in. You know, they don't want to hear you if all you're bringing is bad news, right, over the phone. It's not gonna be very not gonna be a good relationship. Invest adequate time into your lesson plans. We kind of talked about this. Stay within your pacing plan. You know, kind of be cognizant where the rest of the teachers are. Talk with your colleagues in the same subject areas. I like to spend a lot of time in history because I would rather read 2 pages really well, scour them, get the vital information, than read 4 pages and have the kids just bored out of their mind. So in history, my usual approach is I'll make up some big idea questions, about 3 or 4 of them. I'll intersperse a little internet, YouTube video in there, okay, about the we've been working on the caste system in India, right? You got the Untouchables, you've got the Sudras, the Vishus, all the way up to the Brahmins, and I showed them a great film about this lady from India. She moves to New York City when she's 26. She works on the MTA, and she is thinking that everyone's still looking at her as an untouchable. So you've just taken something in the book and totally personalized it, right? It's a one lady story. And then you got a whole talking point right there. You could spend 10 to 15 minutes just talking about that. You could pause the film if you don't have that much time. Record your information. How did she feel when, as an untouchable, she came to New York? Okay? And and really slow it down and really get into the material. That's what makes history fun. If you start watching kids look at the clocks or yawning, you need to have them interact more. Because usually when they're writing and they're participating, they are not bored. But it's interaction. If the teacher talks 90% of the time, they're going to be bored. It's a passive environment, right? You're not asking anything of them. So in my lesson plans, it's not just writing them up, right? You have to consciously think, how am I going to present them, right? In what time frame am I going to present the different components? It's very, very, and then it's individualized by the different classes. Because some classes you're going to have more behavior problems. So don't have quite the expectations that you would for your well-performing class that's able to fly through the information in much less time, right? And you get to know your class within the first couple months. Your classes, sorry. So, any questions? Yeah. Okay. And then transitions are vital. You will need to make several transitions within the school day. Set up an audio cue, right? They sell, those little Staples things with the push button, right? The classic bell works. Your students need to know what's expected of them, right? Books out. I'll have the page number on my board. All my expectations written down. They have a time limit to transition to the next subject. I told you guys, remember, that first assignment, you got 1-2 minutes. And then I walked around. Reward and correct student behavior. So if you need to reward if you reward it, like someone said wisely at the beginning, then that gives the rest of the kids an incentive. Discipline respectfully. Make your best effort to have a one-on-one conversation with challenging students. This will, number one, remove them from their peers, show them respect, and give them an incentive to comply. I'm a firm believer that you take those kind of kids, the young man that was in the back of the classroom that wanted all that attention, and you give him the attention, but you take him away from their peers. Okay? Be extremely diligent about your time management skills. What does that say up there, guys?
Either run the day or the day runs
Yeah. So be deliberate about how you're planning your lessons. Carve out time. I will write down on a piece of paper all the things that I want to do within the period, and I'll put that in my pocket, and I'm owning it. And I do that aside from my lesson plans, because I want to have it right there. So be real diligent when it comes to your time, because if you're not, then you will be owned by the clock in a bad way. Don't overload yourself with grading or any other thing that goes along with school. It's extremely expensive, as we talked about. You may spend a lot of money, and I don't spend a lot of money anymore because, like Alan said, it's an investment. You save that stuff. I still have my wall posters from 10 years ago, right? I still have my worksheet books, right? You can save a lot of that stuff. So I would suggest setting time limits for yourself, right? Comes to grading papers, and you've got a stack of papers. Well, you can't spend a whole lot of time on each paper. I can quickly look at a paper and look at a couple sample responses and know what the other ones are going to say. Come on, you don't have to go through the whole thing, okay? Not realistic. Make comments in the papers, especially when it comes to the grade. If it's an excellent job, write that. And I'll usually have more to write on the kids' papers that haven't done a very good job. It's like, see me, right? Well, you have a life to live, right? I like to backpack. This is something that I enjoy doing. You have to you don't forget that you're a part of a family, and you've got friends that want to hear from you, because your career is going to take a lot of time. Evaluate yourself at the end of each day, right? Write down your successes and shortcomings in a journal. Transform your weaknesses into strengths. It's the best way to do that. Talk to the camera. I hate them, but you know what? They're objective. You film yourself during a classroom setting, you will see all your mistakes. You'll see a lot of other things too. Paperwork, right? teacher by the name of Dr. Foster. Alan and I were talking about him, University of Phoenix. He said this: organize and follow through with your paperwork. Hold the document once, then either record it in your calendar and file it, or throw it away, right, in the round file, and leave. Oh, this is great. Leave with a clean desk at the end of each day in a clean classroom. And you're going to walk into your room at the next morning with your cup of coffee, cup of tea, right? I like to just sit in the kind of the darkness. I got these big, beautiful picture windows, and I'll just sit there, kind of look on the Laurel Canyon Boulevard. I can see the mountains, planes landing at the Burbank Airport. You know, I'm on the penthouse level. I'm up on the 3rd floor. And so I'll just sit there and just kind of think about my day, lay my materials out. You want to get there somewhat early, because the teachers that make it like 10 minutes before the bell, man, that's dumb. I don't get that, right? You got to be there at least a half an hour before instruction starts. Why? Because you got to check in, right? Distractions are going to come up. Probably going to be talking to a few people. So school starts at 7:55. I'm there by 7:15. You know, the early bird catches the worm. You want to be ready to lay your stuff out, write things down on your board that you need to, and prep for the day. Be a forever learner. I think this is the last one. Be on the lookout for new knowledge to learn and bring it into your classroom. Master your craft. Second one, master your craft by visiting other classrooms, listening attentively during professional development hours, and researching lessons online. This last one is a huge resource, and not enough teachers do that, right? So much stuff online that you can look up and implement. And a lot of teachers are lazy. They just don't do it. So avail yourself to technology, right? And learn from those that have gone before you. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any quick questions?
Yeah.
Please.
Particularly about the first call, the positive one. So are you waiting for? I don't know if you do this, like he's mentioning a lot. Like, are you waiting for a problem to arise, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to make a negative call at some point. So then you just make a positive one first.
Generally, at the beginning of the year, you don't have a whole lot of dirt on students.
Right.
So try to have something nice to say, and then parents already know about their kids unless they're in complete denial, and that might be the reason that the kid is as defiant as they are. You may have a real battle with the parent. Document everything. Matter of fact, a great way to do it, okay, is to take a file folder like this, put any notes, right? I would staple a piece of paper onto the right side and just document all the calls. And then on the other side, phone numbers, pertinent information, and put that in your file unit, you know.
So I'm going to piggyback on that. When you come into the classroom the first day, the very first day, you're going to look around the room, and there's Marcus sitting there, and you know he's a problem to begin with. You can just see him sitting there, and I hope you're going to be able to tell that right away. So I'm calling Marcus's home that night, and then I'm going to look around the room, and I'm going to pick about 3 more characters, and I'm going to give them the good call, but I'm saying to myself, that's a problem. Look at the way he's dressed, look at the way he's sitting, he's already came in late. You're going to tell those characters up front right away. Then, depending on your time, and I don't think it's a bad thing as long as you don't take it to the negative. You're going to be a 3rd grade teacher. I'd want to go and talk to maybe the 2nd grade teacher at the school. Did you have any of my kids? Yes, I did. And I personally don't mind hearing from others, but I'm going to make up my own mind. If they tell me Marcus is a problem, I'll put that up here. I'm not going to treat him as a problem. I'm going to treat him as a good guy, because I want to score with this character. He was a problem to Mrs. Jones, because Mrs. Jones is a problem. Maybe. So I'm going to treat him like an A guy, but I might make the call to his parents right away and just see what's going on. So that's how things occur. A couple of quick questions. We have 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Yeah? Okay.
So my parting words for you is that students are going to, they want someone to, they want to respect your authority. And if you lay down the laws and do so compassionately and fairly, fair is a big word when it comes to kids. They want to be treated fairly. Even if they blow it, they want second chances. And their sense of justice is pretty developed, right? They know when they've blown it. So kids, they love to be treated with respect and fairness and love. We can't say we love them, but they're gonna get into your heart. So you're really gonna. It makes me kind of.
Are you getting tired of teaching?
I love it.
You're not getting tired of it?
I like it more. I love it more now.
Do you ever raise your voice?
Because I got tools now.
Do you ever raise your voice when you get angry at a couple of characters?
That's when I turn the volume of my voice box up.
He's got a voice box.
But
maybe you do that once in a while.
There's room for one sheriff in town, and you're not taking any applications for deputies.
Stop for a second. I got to piggyback that. It's a very important comment he made. He made a lot of great things, a lot of great comments you heard. Here's another great one. There's only one sheriff in the room, and there's no deputies. You're in charge. It's your room. You're in charge of that room. Switch gears for a couple of quick seconds. School shootings, lockdowns. You worried about that? Tell me what's the bottom line there.
Keep your door locked. If you ever get a PA announcement, they're going to be specific about the threat. Okay, we had an active shooter training. I don't know of any LAUSD campuses this year. There was a gun that went off in a classroom. Young lady brought the gun. Remember that one? It went off. Really lucky. But it wasn't a malicious thing. She just was shouldn't have done that, right? Bring a gun to school. Kids are going to be kids. Are going to make mistakes. In a violent threat type of situation, this is what they're telling us. 3 things. Be very cognizant of what's happening outside your classroom. If there's a threat, lock that door, because in all of the major shootings, what are they doing? They're going and they're trying to see if they can have access into the classroom. Hide your kids away from the windows. Get them out of eye shot, right? And get them to be quiet. I'm tempted to bring a baseball bat in my classroom, because if someone pokes their head through that window, I'm going to protect my students. So you just got to be wise, because that's our job.
Baseball bat. No bats, okay, guys? I got to talk to him. That's the first time I've heard that. In 15 years, the first time I've heard that. I'm going to talk to him about that. I'm going to tell you that.
Louis Phil Slugger.
I got you. That's a good bat. Just leave it at home. What was I going to say? I lost my thought. It went in and out when he said that. Baseball bat screwed up my mind. Scary. But I get his point. You have to be safe. I know what I was going to say. Columbine, what happened 20 years ago in a couple of days, right? Even though that's a terrible thing, and the thing in Vermont, very terrible killing of kids. But when you look at how many kids are in school in the USA, it's a very, very small percentage of problems. So these things, even though they go on the media and they're on television for 2 weeks and all of this stuff, in reality, research shows that these are minimal compared to what's going on in the school systems across the country. So these school shootings are very rare. Now, if you were at Columbine 20 years ago, what can I say? If you were at that Vermont school, wasn't it at Vermont school?
Sandy Hook.
What?
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. If you were there, terrible. Terrible. But when we, as teachers, cannot go to school with that thought in mind, because it's probably never going to happen in your lifetime. In my 40 years with LA Unified, in some terrible schools, not one problem.
I gotta say a comment.
Well, hold that comment for a second. Not one problem like that. Not one. 40 years.
Even at Markham.
Even at Markham, Byrd, Charles Drew, terrible schools. Good kids, but terrible schools, environment around, society, culture, terrible. No problems. So we talk about the negative because we want to try to prevent that in these classes, in the guests, in things you hear. They had an active shooter in service at his school. Just because you have to have those. Bottom line, in my heart, it's not going to happen.
I guess for me it's different because it was like a shooting at my school, actually. So
Okay.
for me it's different. But,
So if you had something at your school, it would be different for you. Yes. It
And you
would
bring that in to the table as an educator, you never forget.
yeah.
Right. If you've had it, if you've been robbed or raped or burglarized or somebody hit you over the head as you were going shopping or something, that's terrible.
I mean, you have drills now too, where you're prepared.
Yeah, they got like a
for it.
lot more serious. Because like that happened at Santa Monica College, they got a lot more serious after that.
I remember.
I was gonna ask Michael what was your, but it was at Santa Monica.
I
Right,
think
I don't know if you guys remember, that was like about
I-
5 years ago.
Yeah, I think I remember reading something about that. But nowadays, schools have gotten more involved. But I go and visit schools with my counseling program that I'm involved with here at National, and I feel bad sometimes. I can walk up into the school and nobody stops me. I can walk in. Do I look like a killer? No. But how does a killer look? Some schools make you take out your ID. They put it in a little machine. It makes a picture of a visitor's pass that they make you wear, and in the machine it keeps my full information. Oh, looks like they're taking care of a little business. I'm not gonna go into that school and cause a problem. Some other school lets you walk in the door. Can I go to the counseling office? Sure, it's down the hallway on the right. Schools should be taking care of business even more than they are nowadays, and some are. Okay, we're going to stop. We're going to take our break in about 30 seconds. Any final thoughts for Steve? Time check is?
And Eric, if you're like me, if you're a little bit more reserved, you're gonna develop a swagger. You're gonna be jealous for your kids' attention because you don't want them being kids. Kids are gonna be kids, but when they're in your room, it's your rules, bro. So you are holding their feet to the rules, procedures, and especially the consequences. Like I said, be consistent. My goodness, right? Be consistent. But you kind of do have to develop a little swagger. They've got to know you're the boss. And you got to be jealous for their attention because, as we can just circle the wagons here in the video, as you guys all correctly identified, there was no leadership in that classroom. And it even takes the marginal kids and turns them into the rebels because there's no parameters, right? So I would be willing to talk to you guys anytime in the future. I think you got a fine crop of future teachers. I wish we had more. Maybe they're all taking online classes, but I love being here with you guys, and I think you enjoy this process too. So thank you guys for your time. Awesome.
Yeah, we're starting. Good. Okay, welcome back for the second half. General comments now that we're on camera concerning Steve's performance, his show, his information. Anything stand out above and beyond that really lights your fire? Doesn't light your fire? The opposite?
I liked how you said a journal after end and like always reflect on how you did that day and like how you can refine it. I think that was a good piece of information.
For himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right?
Yes, no, I hear you. When I that's the first time I had heard that from Steve for a while. I think that's important. A review of how we do, how we've done at least each day, especially in the first couple of years, and review that and maybe keep a little journal. And I think it's important to keep a little records of what's going on, how you're doing, and the good and the bad. I think that's even something that could lead, and I know it's led Steve somewhere, for possibly in the near future of 5 or 6 or 7 years from now, from your first day of actually teaching in a classroom, a book that you might create. Steve is in the process of putting a book together about classroom management from his past 15 years. He's kept some records and he's putting a little something together. So that's not a bad idea. It's something for possibly your future, keeping some records. Okay, I gave you a sheet of paper, a summary of Steve's comments that he put together, not to look at now, because I'm sorry, we just don't have the time. But boom. I want to go back up about something I said earlier in the first day of class. This is our book, and I hope you're reviewing and reading. And that's on you. This is our book. Steve, and a lot of the things we say in class are besides the book. Other things that are not actually in this book, but I think as the instructor of this class are extremely important. Anything pop into your mind that we should hit right now? I've got a few things on my agenda for the next hour or so, but I wanted to see if there's anything that we should talk about that you want. Okay, if it comes up, please. Could I see Eric's stack of papers right there that he picked up? Boy, that's a nice stack, isn't it? You need a loose leaf for this.
That's literally a pack of paper.
That's 500 sheets.
Yeah.
I have stock in a couple of companies. Wait, don't look through it yet, because I'm going to bring out some points that I want to talk about for a second. All of this stuff is valuable stuff. Do you have time to read it tonight or this week? No, I know that. I'm hoping you don't throw it out. I'm really hoping. I take a chance to give it to you, and in hopes that it's going to help. I believe this is all valuable stuff, or I would not be giving it to you, believe me. I would like you to take a look at this pack right now, just for a second. I want to go over a couple of pages of this pack. Eric's going to look on with Marcus, but this is the first one I want to hit. Okay, take a look at this on your own. Page 1 only at the moment. And it kind of tell me what the heck page 1 is. Look quickly.
All the administrators and what their focuses, jobs are for the year.
And why is that important to us?
So if you need help in a certain subject or field, you know who to go to.
Yes. So here's the 5 administrators at this school and their responsibilities. Starts with the principal, and his 4 assistants are listed here. So if somebody was, if Marcus, who would you go to as the administrator in charge of the math department if you had a math question?
If I have a math question, I mean, maybe do they have like a math department chair?
Well, I think you should take a look at the piece of paper and find it.
Well, I know, I was, right, I mean, I don't
Casey?
see that right now,
He
but
shouldn't
like,
be
I know most of them.
Marcus, we're only on page 1.
Okay.
Don't turn to page,
Okay.
no, don't tell him, please. Okay,
Oh, wait. Department math.
yeah. Who is that
Paul
you're gonna go
Porter, there you
to?
go.
What?
Paul Porter.
You're gonna go to Mr. Porter.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's right.
Yep.
So the bottom line is, this is an important sheet. I'm hoping that your school gives it. I'm hoping that you're going to get, in student teaching and in the regular assignment when you get one, a handbook. We're gonna go over a handbook in a few minutes. But I'm hoping it's either online or a hard copy. And everything would be in it to help you. If the school doesn't give you a handbook, either online or updated, a hard copy, it's gonna be a little tougher. It's gonna be a little tougher. But some schools are big on a nice handbook of about that big. And it talks about everything that goes on at the school and at the district office. I'm hoping. All right, so that was that sheet. Flip 3 pages over. St. Paul, please. And look at Sheridan Street School. There's a big 2 on the page. There's a big 2. Well, that page there is a letter from the principal going home to the teachers at the school, letting them know what's up for the first week of the school year. And it's going home July 29th, because school didn't start that year until about August, 5 or 6. So teachers got that. Turn the page. Here's a letter at the same school, short and sweet, on August the 1st, school starting about 12 days before school starts. It started on the 13th that year, and it's a letter from the teacher, short and very sweet, to the parents. Because, let me ask you a question, I don't get this for a second. How did the teacher know who to send the letter to? I don't get it. I'm confused. Can somebody help me?
Did the teacher get the emails of the parents before the school year?
I can't hear you.
Did the teacher have access to the emails of the parents before the school year?
Of course. How did the teacher get it? They asked. They went to school 14 days before school started and said, "Hey, Mr. Principal, Mr. Office Secretary, could I have the list of the kids that are set to be in my 5th grade class?" They got the list, addresses, or emails, or both, and they sent a letter out, or they sent an email out. What does that say to the parent?
This teacher cares.
And it's letting them know what the heck is going on. Because a parent might want to call, there's the teacher's email there, there's the teacher's work number there. And I happen to know that that's the teacher's cell number. So if the parent was questioning something, they could check with the teacher right away, couldn't they? If they don't have emails, they could send a phone to the teacher or to the work number. Turn the page, and what's on the back of that page? I don't get it.
No, in Spanish.
What?
In Spanish.
Why?
Spanish students.
So English and Spanish, because if you have mixed Russians and English-speaking kids in your class, you better figure out how to do a Russian letter. I believe the school will help you with that. I sure hope they will. But on certain things, you might be on your own. Okay. They attach this next thing, awards, rules, and consequences. Take a look at the next page, in English and Spanish. They attached it with the letter. I happen to know that. Just letting the kids know, letting the parents know and the kids know what the rules are, what awards are going to come out, what are some of the consequences, and my pledge to students. Take a look at my pledge to students. This is what the teacher will be doing to help the parents and their children. It says something to the parents. On the back is English and Spanish. Now take a look at the next letter. Same teacher, but the letter's a little bit more involved. And the letter's talking about certain things. And then on the back, some important dates. Again, phone numbers, email, and then why the tear-off. Eric, why the tear-off? Why a tear-off on anything?
They want their contact info.
Update.
You want their contact info, yes, but what would be more important than the contact info, even though that's a high priority? What do you want to know?
That they're involved, that they got the letter.
They got the letter. That they got the letter. Most elementary kids are going to bring these home. Most elementary. Middle and high, now they're going to start to play with us. Now they're going to either sign it themselves and just bring it back in the middle and high. Elementary, folks, those kids, they're not that smart yet. They're not con artists yet. They're learning from their older, but they're not there yet. So they're going to bring it back, knock on wood. Same letter in English and Spanish. Okay. I want to go to the next page. I should go through every one of these, but I can't. I gotta do the next one. End of the year closing bulletin. Casey, what is it? What is it? End of the year. It's on both sides in English. What is the and there's a third page. Excuse me. There's a second page. What is that? Back to back page and then one single page. What is all that?
I mean, I guess it's just a checklist of things that are gonna happen at the end of the year.
That's pretty good. Thank you. You were right. This is a checklist of exactly what she said, from the principal to you, of what you are required to deal with as the teacher. They want certain things done. They want their roll books. They want information. They want where you're going to be during the summer. They want your contact information. They want you to write in the cumulative record as an elementary person. So they want certain things done. So you're going to give one of these maybe to kids to do. But here's the principal giving you some requirements to do during probably the last week of school. 5, 6, 7, 8 days to do all of this. Okay, this is going to be the last one I do on this page, I promise. Number 7, contract. The next page says contract. It says number 7 in the top right-hand corner. What is it? Who can help me with this? It's in English and Spanish. What the heck is this?
How they're supposed to behave at school.
When is it used? When do you use something like this?
Beginning of the school year. When you're outlining rules and procedures.
Yeah, could be. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Could be. No doubt about it. Could be. When do you think it also could be used? You did one at the beginning of the year, and you kept the tear-offs, and you always keep important papers for the future.
Like
if
when
you're
they
an
get in
elementary
trouble.
teacher, you might have one of these elementary teachers. You might have one of these that you're keeping all important tear-offs in, or something like this. Secondary people, you've got 120, 150 kids you're going to see in a school year. You might not be able to have one of these. Yeah, you could buy one of these, that's not the problem. You might not want to keep one of these on every kid. If you can, and you think you can, 30 of these for each period, and if a kid changes class, you change it, or you get rid of it, or you change the name for new kids, and you keep important documents in here. Be nice if you could do it. So you high school people might have to keep paper somewhere else. But when else are you going to use this contract?
Maybe during discipline, like if you're disciplining them or if they act out.
You've got to have something at some point in the list of the rules and the consequences where when you meet with the youngster one-on-one, you come up with some sort of a contract. When you meet with the parent and the youngster and yourself, you might want them to sign off something that says, we discussed this. And you might want to give a copy of this to the counselor or the assistant principal, depending on your relationship with them. I'm going to switch gears for a second. I'm going now only to the one called Resume Guide. No, it's a separate one. Resume Guide. Separate.
I was gonna say for like tear-offs, what I've done is I've just scanned them all. And then if I need to send a reminder, I'll just take a screenshot of it and like attach it to an email with a parent.
That's terrific. That's terrific. If you can do that, That's excellent. That's excellent if you can do that. So I think you guys are going to be more and more and more and more into your teaching life of the next 20 years or 30 years or whatever, into more of that. Yes, it's a great idea. If you can save paper and keep records like that, that's the way to do it. No question about it. Excellent. Resume guide. We're not going to look through it. I'm just going to say that right now your resume should be starting to update it. You should have it. You should be sharing it with a few people, some friends, classmates, student teaching people, just to get your resume together. Just like Steve said about some other things about the internet, my God, you could put in high school teacher resumes. You'll see about 10,000 teacher resumes that people have put out there. You take a look at 10 of them, you steal a little bit of this, and I mean stealing in a positive way. You pull some things here and there, and you create your resume. Your resume should be getting, again, I know you've got things on your agenda. I know that. But the job market is coming up for you one of these days. A resume and a cover letter gets you into the interview. They don't just take you by you saying, hey, I like the job. No. You're going to send a resume and a fancy cover letter. I believe you all in this room, I would think. You how many years as a real estate agent? 20. That's beautiful that she's a real estate agent for 20 years, but she's still probably a one-page resume person, because nobody cares if she's going to go teaching third grade at XYZ school. Bless her heart, nobody really cares that she spent 20 good years as a real estate person. But that'll be on there because there was a lot of teaching in there. There was a lot of counseling in there. There was a lot of customer service in there. All blends in to the teaching assignment. But the high note is going to be, believe it or not, you're a TA now. How many years you been a TA? So 1 year of a TA, and then you're going to be student teaching or interning. That's going to be the second big paragraph. And then the third paragraph might be the real estate assignment. But slowly but surely, we got to be on this thing here. Because when you start to network, people want to know who you are. How many of you right now can hand me a business card out of your purse or your wallet?
The A student.
I might want. That's not for teaching now. So
Could I see it, please?
I don't even know if I have one.
A student, I told you. Eric, you're next to him, so maybe it'll rub off a little bit. I mean, you're close, Eric,
I
but
have my wife's.
I think it's just for tutoring, but
pass it down.
I know, that's okay.
So,
I have a real estate.
so at some point, very soon, you're all going to need, in my opinion, a business card. Because people you run into nowadays, you want to give them something. It's no more writing on a scratch piece of paper, or them taking a picture even with the phone of your whatever. I don't know what you're going to take, but you need something like this because you're going to be meeting people and you want to give them this. Michael, you were at the, both of you were at the, but I only saw Michael. You at the career fair?
Mhm.
Did you give them your cards? You wrote your name there?
I took some time.
You took their cards?
Mhm.
Of course. Always take their cards. No question about it. But it's nice to
About
give a
something.
card because it shows something that you're able to give a card to someone. It looks good. Plus you'll run into some people, not maybe this month or next month, but during the summer or whatever, you run into someone, oh, I'm a teacher for LA Unified. Oh, wow, we're both on the same train to Rocky Mountains. Oh, wow, let me have your card or something. We won't forget that. So that's important. That's important. This little packet right here, if you'd grab it out of your big pile. I just want to say a couple of words about this one right here. Kind of important, and I'll tell you this. My better half attended a workshop about a month ago for LA Unified, they talked about discipline, they talked about interaction in the classroom, about pairing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this packet right here was given to her by LAUSD at a big Saturday workshop. So might be something current and new. Set it aside. Don't look. You don't have to look at the next one. But there's one in here about bullying. You did your discussion on bullying for this next week, right? Give us some summation of bullying.
Basically, the question was how would you, or what would you do if a parent will come to you complaining that their child is being bullied? And I went through the steps that I would first have a conference with the child, private, to see what's going on. I would have a conference with all the children together that are involved to see, and I would have a conference with the parents as well.
Of the other kids?
Yeah, of all.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conference.
Okay. It's okay.
Depending on depending on if it was severe.
It was needed. It was severe.
Yeah.
I like that word, severe. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then since most of the bullying always takes place in the schoolyard during lunch or recess,
Yes.
I would have a talk with the noon duties.
Yes.
See if they saw anything, if they should be alerted to keep an eye out. If
Excellent.
If needed, if it's just depending on the case, maybe they are supposed to stay apart. They are not supposed to interact with the students.
The problem students.
The problem students.
Okay.
And the noon duties have to enforce that. And the administrator, if I cannot resolve it internally in my classroom, the administrator will be alerted.
Okay, so that's a good summation.
Mhm.
Excellent summation. A point I want to bring up in this situation is bullying must be handled yesterday.
Mhm.
If the kid comes to you today, you should have handled it yesterday. Get my point? It's an immediate thing. It's an immediate thing to handle it. It's immediate to follow up, and it might be immediate to continue to follow it up and to document
That's what it was.
your actions all the time with things, because bullying is not normal. Normal is two kids sitting down talking to each other about schoolwork. That's normal. You're not going to document that. But somebody comes to you and says, I'm being bullied. Now you got a situation. We've had a couple of suicides. A couple of suicides. They're terrible. They're bad. When you look at the big picture, it's a small number, knock on wood, but it's something. Cyberbullying via the tech, computers, you got to deal with it. So you can't let any of these abnormal things get away. You must follow through. You always go back to the victim. Everything okay? Yeah, does. No one says anything to me anymore. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson, for your help. Okay, I'd still just keep my ears and eyes open. And probably if I dealt with a little bullying in the classroom, I might let the counselor know about it. I dealt with this and this because I heard about this. Seems like it's under control. For your information, let the counselor deal with it. We talked about scanning and stuff. I would always keep copies of things I sent about important items to the office. I don't have it with me. Maybe next week I bring it. But I used to have a little notebook this size, half a memo, second half a memo from the desk of Alan Scher, and it was NCR paper. Everybody knows what that is? No? What's NCR paper? Anybody know? Oh boy, that's old
Like
school.
with
I
the
guess.
carbon copies.
Yes, yes. When you write on the one, it makes a carbon copy without carbon paper anymore. Or in the old days. Now we're into scanning and other things, which I believe in 100%. So keep that up. But I used to have a little memo book, and I'd take off the white one. The yellow page would stay in the book, and I'd put the white one in somebody's mailbox. when I was wanting a teacher to know about something, and I always kept a copy of it. So documentation, especially as it goes into the bullying area. Give me a moment. Oh, let's go to this one. Just put this one at the top. Application for a teaching position. Sorry, I grabbed yours.
That's okay.
Look over at Marcus's, please. This is a lot of samples of address, of interviewing procedures, a little bit more into resume writing, ideas, verbs to be used. I noticed that I believe this package right here, this one that we talked about 2 minutes ago, was also a Xerox in this package by mistake. So you got a double of it. Give it to somebody who needs some help with it, whatever. But the application for teaching position. Turn the page. First page, a very simple, cut and dry, one-page resume. Very short and sweet. Is it a great resume? No. I'd probably give it a B grade if I was grading it. I see some little things here or there on it, but it gives you an idea of objective. Some people say, let's not use the objective anymore because you're going for the job you're turning in the application for anyway. So that's old school. A summary of qualifications? Maybe. Maybe I would want to start with my professional experience first over qualifications. That's kind of a personal thing. Education, the people reading the resume, they really don't care about your education because they all know you probably have, or you wouldn't be applying, a bachelor's, a master's, and a teaching credential, and maybe a CSET. They know you took the CBEST, or you wouldn't have gotten through the programs. So that could be at the end. But I'd like to just say, get your resume going and start to make some changes. And even though you haven't done student teaching yet, I would already, even before student teaching, I'd have a paragraph or bullets, whichever your choice is. You have to feel your resume. I would start my paragraph with my student teaching ideas already on my resume, so I'm beginning to space my resume out already. Take a look at the next page. Next page, and that's just a very simple but sweet cover letter. Simple and sweet. So it gives you an idea of a cover letter that's needed. Should you use cheap 20-pound paper? No. Should you invest in a little fancier stock paper, maybe with a watermark on it? Yeah, might be an idea. Eric's laughing. Should it be off-white? Maybe. You have to feel these resumes. I help people with resumes. Marcus, share the chips.
I was trying to like.
Marcus, there's other people that would like those chips. Okay?
I give them back.
May I suggest you have a cookie instead?
Yeah, alright, good.
Gotta have some fun in class after, because it gets boring. Believe me, even for me. Even for me. Maybe a nicer piece of paper. And I was with a young lady earlier today. We met at 2 o'clock from another program. She showed me her portfolio. That's something you need to be thinking about, because going into a job now, resume and cover letter is beautiful. But if you were coming in to see me and I was interviewing you for a teaching assignment, and this happens to be a cheap 3-ring binder, but I'd be coming in with a a fake leather binder. Have a nice piece of paper in the front here. Professional resume for XYZ High School. Mr. Jack Jones, principal, by Johnny Jones, whatever. I'd have a nice little thing here that was personalized to the school I was going to, and it'd be a nice table of contents, resume, cover letter, be things about me, C-best passing. Maybe I'd throw in a transcript of my college, no big deal. But if I did some other things like a TA somewhere or a substitute teacher somewhere, and I had some things from that, they'd go into my resume. When you walk into the resume, you walk into the interview, they might not even want to see this. Somebody might say, what do you have there? It's my portfolio. And then you might say to them, would you like me to pass it around? No, we don't want to see it. Don't feel bad. You brought it in. Somebody said to themselves, brought a portfolio in. Okay? But they might say, pass it around. If they say pass it around, you've scored 2 points towards your job. So that's good. And I would have in my resume, I'd have in my portfolio. Why would I have that in my portfolio, Casey?
So you can give them a hard copy.
I could either give them the
Either
hard
or.
copy, or I could give them a nice DVD. And what does this show the panel when I have this in my hard copy?
I don't know, you know about technology and
That's it, stop. You hit it. I know something about technology, because a lot of people don't. And you could say, I'd like to just leave, would you like me, hard copy? No. No, would you like me, I have a number of DVDs, would you like me to leave one for you? They say yes, you scored a point. They say no, you didn't have any minus points, but you didn't lose any points. And probably somebody up here is thinking about it, which is good. You have to do different things to get the job, unless your father, mother, husband, wife, brother, sister, or best friend is the president of the board or knows the principal. I had a young lady in this class about 2 years ago. She worked at a high school in Santa Clarita. Her mother was the principal of the school. You think she's going to have a hard time? You think she's going to have a hard time? Of course not. Of course not. She's got it made. But that's her. Is your relative in charge of any school district or school?
No.
No. So he's got to do like most people will have to do, the process. The process. And there's nothing about that. Maybe there's a 0.5% out there that's going to be interviewing for jobs in August. They've got somebody that they know. Well, bless their heart. I wish I was one of them if I was going for a job. But I'm not. So I got to go to resident. Okay, that's not. I want to look at this one for a second. Referral form. We're not looking at all of these. These are things you're going to have to look at. This is a pretty good referral form. And what is it? What is this? This happens to be a middle school in the San Fernando Valley right here, referral form.
Just documents their bad behavior. Usually goes into their file, or you send it like at the high school I work at. You would just call the campus supervisor with your form filled out, and they would take the kid to the Student Responsibility Center.
We're referring a youngster at this point with this piece of paper out of the classroom. Or,
And
go ahead.
there's a room basically for them to go
At the
to?
high school I work at, yeah, it's like a whole building, yeah.
A whole building?
No, not a whole building. Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, at the high school I work at, there's a different, like an actual, like building that's the Student Responsibility Center. And they have all the campus supervisors in there. That's where they have like the sheriff deputy. That's where they have a classroom there where students who are sent there have to get other work from teachers, and they stay in there instead of going to class.
So it's kind of I guess a
Jail.
facility that has a lot of, a lot what? What'd you say?
Jail.
Jail, school.
I hate to say that, but I guess so. Not really, but I guess so. But this is used when we want to send the youngster out of the classroom that day, or we want to send it, the paper, without the student, just to let the office or that person know, I got a problem here, would you help me out? But I kept the kid in the room today. Sometimes they do that. If the kid's got to go right away, the form is filled out, somebody's called, or you send the kid with a chaperone to that building or that office. Now, but what's important is this. I got my thought back together. The violations, those are the problems that have come up that you want to send the kid out for. But then they want a description, a specific description. They don't want you just to check, let's say fighting. No, I don't like fighting. Let's say a hate offense. Middle box, fourth one down. Okay? If I check hate offense, I better do what?
Description.
I better fill out that description. What is it? What's a hate offense? I don't know what that is. Fighting. Who was it with? Who started it? When did it start? Was it blows, or was it just talking face to face? The office wants to know what's going on so that they can handle the problem. But now where I'm leading is the bottom box. I want you to look at all of those things. That's important. Previous action by you. They want to know what you did before sending this kid out of the room. You just can't send them out on this form. Other schools have different forms, but this form is pretty darn good. And on the very bottom is a tear off or consequences that will get returned to you. So you send Johnny out today, fourth period. I hope that in your mailbox at school will be some sort of a response by the office on what you just wrote out. Sometimes these forms, if the school has a few dollars or a high school has a print shop, they'll do these in carbon copy NCR paper. Or nowadays in LA Unified, they've cut back on paper. Now they want this form, similar, not exact, this is a school's form, similar, done on the computer and sent to an office. Why? Because they're keeping records. They want to know what you're sending out, who you're sending out. They want to know a description about what the problem is. They want to keep some records. I gave you another thing on bullying, and two things I want to hit, and that's it on this. Take a look at 40 developmental assets. This is a complete program. Maybe your school will have it. Maybe you can look it up one day when you got nothing better to do in your life. But the bottom line, anybody know about these 40 developmental assets? Heard about it in another class or heard about it on the radio or anything like that? It's been around. The bottom line is this. If the kid is lacking a lot of the 40 assets, what do you think the situation is with that youngster? These are assets, positive things. If a kid is lacking a number of these positive aspects, what do you think?
It's probably at risk.
There it is. He's beginning, or she's beginning, at risk status. So when a kid has problems at home and there's lots of situations, father's in jail, mother's wherever, got 5 or 7 brothers and sisters living in a 1-bedroom apartment, that kid's got a lot of problems. And he's still coming to school, she's still coming to school. Shows something about the kid. still making an effort, but lacking a number of the positive assets that other kids might completely have. So you have to just know that idea. A last thing is a fun thing. This is just laps that maybe you look through them, and every once in a while on an assignment or something, you cut out a joke or something funny or a what do they call these things? What do they call these things?
Comics.
Comics. You find some comics or some jokes. It's this one here. Laughs.
Okay.
You cut it out and you put it on the kid's paper or something like that. Let the whole class have it. It's kind of fun and things like that. Okay, thank you, sir. Well, that's heavy. You lift that up, man. You got muscles. I put on your desk, same as last week. Maybe make some room on your desk a little bit. I put on your desk a package of papers that we had on there last week. Can you grab a hold of it and lift it up or something? Use your muscles. There's that one. Lift that one up. Lift that one up. Where's yours? Lift that one up. Lift that one up. Yes. Okay. Don't get new things in there. Well, come on, Michael. Get that little organizer. Michael, lift it up so I can see it.
Wait, it's on the desk or something?
Yeah. You just had it.
Oh, I did?
There it is. Come on.
Thank you for helping me out.
Okay, move the other stuff out of the way for a second so you have just that in front of you. Get some organization on your desk. There it is. Let's get it cleaned up. Marcus, move that pen and that book out of the way a little bit. Get some room over there. Good. Cleaning up things here a little bit. Okay. Now what I'd like you to do is look through on your own, 5 or 6 minutes. Please look through the packet, what's in your packet, because I'm going to ask you to tell us what the heck is in that packet, what is it all about, and it's all different things. Can I keep this business card, Marcus?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Look through every page. If it's a book, you don't have to look through every page of the book, but to look through what's in that whole packet. Please. You're going to tell us what your packet is about, so check everything out in it.
Is there supposed to be like a cohesive like element?
No,
Okay.
it's all different. The whole packet is completely different.
I always complain to you.
Yeah, sure.
If you're not sure what's in the packet, set it aside and hold it up so we can figure out what the heck it is.
It's not actually from teaching.
Yes. Yes.
Big handwriting.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
that's real. That is real. Believe me, it's real.
Not enough.
If you have a lesson plan book, just look quickly through it, that's really what it is. But look at all the other loose things in your packet. They all have something to do with something about school, classrooms, business at school, what goes on. Take another minute. Okay, let's, what we're gonna do is go around the room. You'll present the 2 items, and then we're gonna keep going around the room. So it's gonna be 2 right around the room, 2 again right around the room, 2 again right around the room. Casey looks like she's ready to go first.
Yep.
Awards, rules, and consequences. We already have all this, right?
Right, we kind of went over that in the packet that we just talked about. So that would be up on the wall, so kids knew what was going on. Good, keep going. 2 things. Everybody get ready.
Notice of retention after hours.
What does that mean? What is that?
So if your kid needs to stay after school, it's letting them, like, a note to parents, letting them know,
Okay,
I guess.
so if you want to keep a kid after school, is that the only thing on there, or is there other things?
Referral form.
So there's a referral form that we just went over, but if you want to keep a kid at lunch or nutrition or break time, or you probably should have parent permission. And if it's a phone call, I guess we could go along with the verbal. I'm not too big on verbal permissions, but written ones are always much better. Next, Michael, we're gonna go 2 each, right around, and we're gonna keep on going. So get ready to go again and again and again.
Oh yeah, so here we have some positive reinforcement stickers. So it looks like there's 5 of them here. Right on, inspired thinker, wonderful. So you just put these on kids' papers, it looks like,
As you walk around the room.
as you walk around the room.
Yes.
Here we have a course description manual, so if you look into it, I think it describes the number of units and just a brief description of like the prerequisites for the course and what's required.
So as a high school teacher, that would be essential. Essential. You'd have to know the courses, because not only are you teaching your course, but kids want to know about graduation. So you'd have to help them maybe. So you'd want to know what it takes to graduate from high school as a high school teacher. Elementary, that's not the big problem at the moment, because it's one course, your room.
I have the student handbook.
A lot of schools, again, a lot in the middle, secondary level, going to have a handbook that they're going to give to kids. And maybe a tear-off that you're going to have to get back.
And I have the school report.
Now, what's a school report card? I never heard of that.
LAUSD. It shows you how the school is performing. For example, English language arts, the school had a 45%. The average of LAUSD is 48%.
So they were a little below.
Below in math, 33%. LAUSD is 41%. They are in algebra. They are about 44%, and the average of LAUSD is 30%.
So who would be giving out a school report card, Eric?
The district.
The district. The district would be getting evaluations from parents, kids, teachers, administrators about lots of different things and coming up with a report card about the school. So your principal is going to be on you a little bit for what's going on. That was 2 things or one?
Yeah, 2 things.
2 things, sorry. Eric?
This is an emergency reference chart, what to do in case of lockdown, fire, earthquake, where there are supplies, some safety tips.
So the bottom line, guys, fire drill, lockdown, active shooter, earthquake. take cover. You gotta know those things. And you gotta get the kids out of the room safely. So you might wanna practice it a little bit. Somehow, some way. Elementary school, my God, essential. I'd be practicing that once a month.
The schools usually have.
The schools usually. Yes,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
If they do, take care of business, great. But I think I would do nowadays maybe a little bit more than just the schools work on drills. Next.
This is just a letter from the administration, just saying, thank you for preparing your room for inspection.
What kind of inspection? Williams?
Maintenance.
Does it say anything about Williams?
Yeah.
Williams?
Williams Lego.
Okay. Williams Lako is extremely important. Anybody know about Williams? Okay. That's a law in the county of Los Angeles, and it might be in other districts, but I'm not sure about that, where a school has got to be taking care of business. They've got to make sure that they have credentialed teachers in the classroom. They have to make sure that there's no safety hazards in rooms, that the rooms are easy to get in and out of, that there's a textbook for every student. There's certain requirements a school has to follow when it comes to Lako. And what is Lako, Marcus? I know it's a lake, but Lako.
It's just the set of rules that you're talking about, like for safety, like in the classroom.
Absolutely not.
Or that's not what we're talking about. I don't know.
Lako.
Los Angeles.
Oh,
C-O-N. Los Angeles.
how do you spell it? L-A.
L.A.
Uh-huh.
COE. Los Angeles County something.
Office of
Examiners.
What?
Office of Education.
L.A. County Office of Education. It's a very important office out of Downey, California, that runs all the schools in L.A. County other than L.A. Unified, and still L.A. Unified is under their guidance also. So your offices, whatever, Santa Clarita, wherever it might be, are under some guidelines. Very important, because they have rules that create more rules in the schools to be followed. Marcus,
Yeah. Okay. I have a mandated reporter sheet. Just letting everyone know.
what is that, mandated reporting?
It means that you have to report any kind of abuse or neglect for children that you see.
So that might be up in my wall of my classroom, because a kid comes in and says, I heard that Johnny got beat last night by his father, don't say anything. Well, maybe we gotta show him that little poster that says, by law, I have to report it, and I'll stay with you and help you. What else?
Then I have like a final presentation rubric, just to make everything clear.
Rubric. Now wait, what's rubrics got to do with high school kids?
Because you might have like a rubric if you're gonna have like some kind of project, they want to know exactly why they're scoring a certain way.
Elementary, what do we got to do with rubrics? That's
We have rubrics.
in elementary school?
For like, we have some essay thing.
Elementary school, everything got rubrics?
Yeah, we have it.
I don't.
You not sure?
Yeah, not exactly.
Michael, rubrics.
I haven't seen one, but I'm just a substitute teacher, so.
No, you're not just. You are a substitute teacher. Lose that just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I haven't seen one, so.
So what do you do with the rubrics?
Basically show that, so they were introducing this project where they had to write about an artist, essay, like paragraph essay, and these are the rubrics that we're looking for. That was in the beginning, and that was throughout all the fourth grade classes. They did the same essay.
We've had something similar, which is like a self-assessment checklist. It's similar. It's like a rubric. Like have you done this? It's similar.
Okay.
It can even look like a rubric. But
The rubrics, Marcus,
Yeah.
rubrics. Put that into your brain. Student teaching, you've got rubrics. In this class right here that you're in, don't they talk about rubrics? Okay? Rubrics are going to be now more than ever in all of your classrooms. The kids have to know how you're giving them a grade. If you have a project that's an essay, you need a rubric. You get an A, you've got to organize, boom, 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 got to do these things. So please, put rubrics up here, because rubrics nowadays, in your time, is gonna be more than ever, very, very important. You'll have it in student teaching, you'll have it in interning, they'll wanna see some rubrics. Think about it. We're back around.
I'm not sure what this is.
Well, what is it?
I don't know. Maybe something to do with gangs, because there's other gangs down in here.
Okay, so that might be something about prevention, knowledge of what's going on gang-wise in the school, in the community. Next.
Responsibility for your actions. Just letting the students know that they are responsible for what they do.
So that might be one of your rules. Is there anything on the back of it?
No.
No. That might be one of your rules in your classroom. Michael?
Alright, Parents Guide to Student Success. So this is just outlining what parents can do to help their child succeed and kind of what they're doing this year. So it sets like a sample of what your child will be working on in 4th grade, and it just outlines that.
So, with something like that, you might want to start to think about gathering things that when you have an open house or a back-to-school night, what do you give to parents? You might give them those things. You might have to have it translated. It might already be translated on the internet. But it's always nice that when you meet with parents on different things, that you give them something to take home and read, hopefully read, and maybe help them help their kids. Next.
Here we just have some pictures of the students in the class, and in the back.
Now, what do we got pictures for? What is that?
Maybe just to show the bonding, community, and relationships of the class.
So maybe in a classroom, somewhere, on a wall in the classroom, might be what?
Pictures of the students.
It might be a little personal wall for kids that you've taken pictures of last year's class, and you're going to take this year's class and put it up on the wall. Maybe they are going to bring pictures of their family and have a small section, not very large, but a section where if a kid wants to bring a picture of their dog or their cat in, might have an opportunity to put it on the wall. Get a little bit of a family type of relationship going on, that they feel that this classroom is a little bit of theirs.
I have an achievement award on the wall.
All it was, you make one copy, let me see it for a second, you put it on a little bit of a harder card, and you start to give these out sparingly, but you tell the kids they can work for a certificate. So, elementary school, I gotta believe big. Middle school, could be good. High school, you could still use it. Kids in high school like something. They like to get something. Now, every kid in high school? No. Every kid in elementary school? Yes. Middle school? Most. High school? Some. But just the idea of, hey, I don't want this damn thing, they throw it in their book. And then that night, hey Mom, look what I got. Can we put this on the refrigerator to show all of our family that I got another achievement award? The kid is different at home. He's gonna show his friends, I don't want this crap. And he takes it home and he's happy about it. So that's something to think about.
And then I have a latex-free band-aid.
Band-Aids. Now, wait. Band-Aids. Why would I put Band-Aids in that packet? What the heck for? Especially elementary person. Eric, why is Band-Aids?
Kids need Band-Aids all the time.
Right.
I mean, my kids ask for Band-Aids.
There's the answer. And are you going to send a kid to the nurse for a Band-Aid? If you do, you're nuts.
Because it's usually nothing.
It's usually nothing. Now, the kid has his finger cut off and there's blood gushing out. Maybe you don't give a Band-Aid. Send them to the nurse. But a small little blister or something, in an elementary or a middle school, we've got to save ourselves trouble and whatever, and extra work. So we don't send kids to nurses for just nothing. Eric?
Grant High School health information, immunization record, not record, sorry, just immunization information.
Stuff that kids need to know, high school wise. Everybody needs to know it, but that's at a high school.
I don't know where this is from, but this is standards of student behavior. What's, like, maybe it was school-wide.
The school is going to give you their rules and regulations. The school's going to give you their vision, their mission. That's got to be up on your wall. It's the school. Besides all of that is what?
Your own classroom.
Your own rules. I meant to say something to Steve. I thought one of you would do it, so I was holding back. I think he had 15 rules up there. Remember? Rules are about 3 or 4. Now, I think his rules that he had up there, 15 of them, were general procedures.
They were procedures.
General. He didn't come up with, or maybe he did, I might have missed it, 3, 4 maximum rules that you want to enforce. I think Freud said, what is his one rule? The big R. Respect. That's his one rule. That's all he wants to push. But he pushes that one as the one rule, but I bet you he's got 15 procedures that he follows in his classroom that are almost could be considered rules, but we're not. His one rule: respect. Next.
Kind of want to know what this is.
That's a picture of me when I was young,
I was
handsome,
thinking about
had
that.
a lot of hair,
Like, that's a lot,
and I had a black mustache and black hair.
Alright.
That's when I was young and handsome and weighed about 155 pounds.
Alright.
And I was good looking also. Now, why would that be in his packet? Because I want him to know that I was a big shot basketball referee? No. Well, why?
Students want to get to know you.
Oh, you were the referee.
Yes.
Or-
Michael, why?
Students want to get to know you.
You want to also get to know the students. So you got some students in the classroom that are into sports. So now they see you, they make fun of the hair. You know, I had a big, not that big. And they see you in a sporting event or motorcycles or doing some sort of dancing or whatever that might be. I believe that students, we got to know each other a little bit. They got to know something about me. If I were in the classroom today, besides the basketball refereeing, I might have pictures of my cat on the wall. Because some kids in the class like cats. So now we've got something going. Hey, Mr. Scher, you like cats? Yeah, that's my little guy. He's a nice cat. You know, maybe I'll bring him one day. Oh yeah, that'd be a great idea. Maybe you could. Things like that. We're trying to get us to know each other a little deeper. When you walk into the doctor's office, knock on wood, most of you don't walk into a doctor's office too much, but thank God. But if you were walking into a doctor's office, what would you see in the doctor's office? Besides the scalpel and the knife and that kind
All
of
the
stuff.
plaques.
What kind of plaques?
The degrees.
Oh. Anybody agree? You walk into any doctor's office, they got 15 plaques on the wall. They graduated from this and this and this and this and this. You got any plaques? Does your teacher have any plaques up on the wall? No? I figured no. Yours?
Not like that, but we, at the beginning of the year, all the teachers, we made like a about us thing.
Good.
A couple things we liked and what we do.
That's something. What about the rest of you? See any plaques
No,
in
like,
the teaching,
not
education area?
Not high school or middle school. Professors usually do.
In their office?
In their office.
Maybe so,
Yeah.
yes. So, point being, we don't do enough to push our own profession. We're all in education. We should all have our bachelor's degree laminated, posted in our room. our masters, our teaching credential. Kids need to see that we went to college. And that's where we're pushing them. And we graduated from XYZ school, and maybe we've got some banners from the school. What else?
Okay, so what do I got? Oh, and then I also have.
We're going to go around a couple more times, so get ready.
Okay, I have a dress code, and then I have a picture of how to dress, I think.
Well, there's
I
a
don't know.
story. There's a story about that picture.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Very important story.
All right.
Hold it up. Show Derek. Everybody see that picture? Okay. It's a kid standing there, right? Looks like a fool, kind of. But here's the story about that, short and sweet. I spoke at a career day at that school, Logan Street K-8 school. My friend is the counselor there. I spoke. This kid comes up to me at the end of the presentation and says, "Can I talk to you?" I say, "Sure." Figure he's going to ask me about the careers I've been talking about and all that kind of stuff. None of that. He says, "Mister," he didn't remember my last name, "I like your tie." Because when I go to a school, I had many ties, Mickey Mouse, a sports, subway system, Disney, all the Disney characters. I had different ties. Why did I have different ties from all of those places? As a teacher, as a counselor, as an administrator? Why?
Talking points.
Talking points with kids. So this kid says, "I really like your tie." I said, "I've got one more presentation. You've got to go to class." A sixth grader. "You've got to go to class now. I'll be done by 12 o'clock. You come back to this room at 12 o'clock. I took off my tie, and that's my tie." I gave it to him. You think that kid remembered anything I talked about as it relates to the careers that day?
Remember the tie.
He what?
He remembered the tie.
He remembers the tie because it's in his closet probably right now. That's what he remembers. That's what he looked at for me. And I made some sort of and that picture was taken the next day. I didn't know anything about it. The next day by the counselor friend of mine. He came dressed like that to the school, and she took the picture of him and sent it to me. And I blew it up. Because that's what they remember. They remember something about you. Kids don't care what you know until what? Until they know you care about them just a little bit. That's what it's about. That's why that picture's there. Let's go around again. Summarize what you have.
Teamwork. Teamwork is respecting both the individual and the common goal.
So what is that thing?
It's a crew, maybe, or rowboat.
So that's just what? A picture on the wall of your classroom that's just general, any subject, talking about what?
Teamwork.
Teamwork.
But they're going to look at it because they're not listening to you and they're looking at the walls.
Correct. Correct. Now remember what Freud said about putting some things on your wall? What did he say about that?
You have to refer to them.
You've got to refer to them somehow, some way. So if it's a teamwork thing and you're talking to the kids, somehow you're going to refer to it. One more item?
Stickers?
Well, no, we did that already. Oh,
Gang sign?
yes. I'm hoping that all of your schools will do some sort of professional development about that type of situation so that you, as a teacher in the classroom, when you see something that's inappropriate, like gang signs, you'll have a little bit of an idea about what the heck is going on, and maybe then you're going to do what after that?
Report it. Talk to
Gotta
the
let
police.
somebody know about it. You see some kids throwing gang signs, that's a problem. Elementary school, primary, no. Fourth, fifth, yes. Yes. Fourth, fifth, you've got kids that are thinking gang activity, or at least seeing it, or at least wanting to duplicate it, replicate it in classroom, just for the heck of it. So you gotta kinda know what the community is like. You just can't, I mean, if you teach in if you live in Simi Valley and you're teaching in Glendale and you lived in Simi Valley all your life, no problem. But you better know what's brewing in the Glendale community that you're now teaching at. You need to learn that slowly but surely. And I'm hoping that the school will give some in-services towards that. Last go-round.
Alright, here we have the 8th grade culmination requirements, so it looks like they're just requirements to graduate from 8th grade.
So you're at a middle school, you need to go over those, even though you're the math teacher, you need to help your kids know what the heck the graduation requirements are. Same for high school requirements. Same a little bit for elementary culminations. Second item.
Yeah, and then here is a course calendar, so it just kind of goes over what they're going to be learning in each unit, and it's very specific what they're doing, topic, lecture.
What's on the back? Very important.
This is the grading criteria, so how many points everything is worth, the total points, and then the assigned grades, and the grade point equivalent.
Kids have to know about what we're doing in the area of grading. High school, essential. Essential, high school. Middle school, very essential. Elementary, the beginnings of it.
Okay, I have a flyer about donorschoice.org, and it says you need classroom supplies, and you can post a project. I don't know about if that's
Tell me
still-
email. Donors what?
I don't know.
What is the email on the bottom? Donors.org?
Donors.org, yeah.
There's places out there like donors.org where you can get free materials. You have to write a little letter, and you have a chance to get some free things that they collect from major companies and store it, and you have an opportunity to get freebies.
Okay, and then I have here Cougar Pride, and here courtesy, outstanding attendance. I saw that at a lot of schools.
So this would be something that the nickname of this school is the Cougars. So somebody comes up with Cougar Pride to build some spirit, and along with the words Cougar Pride, they put a word or two that has to do with the letter, and you talk to your kids about Cougar Pride because the name of that school is XYZ Cougars.
A bell schedule and a calendar.
Hey, high school, essential. Bell schedule. Middle school, essential. What's that thing you have in your hand there, Mr. Michael?
Yeah, looks like this is just going over certain threats and what to do, who to call. What?
So I'm hoping and praying, a little bit of praying, that your schools will have given you something to say what the heck to do in the case of all of those 10 emergencies. What to do. And that's a quickie look. That's something you just pop up and you can read and learn what the heck to do. Anybody seeing anything like that at any of the schools you're at? You're shaking your head. Casey, what are you shaking?
We have something similar, it's like thinner and longer, but I think the principal tells all the teachers at the beginning of the year to post it in their room by the door.
Yes, and you better make sure you know what it is, because if the fire drill bell rings, you better know what to do. You better know somewhere on your wall how to get out of the room. God forbid there's an emergency. If you're an elementary teacher, you better teach the youngsters how to get out of the room and go somewhere, maybe without you as the leader. Same for high school, same for middle school. The kids have to know what the heck to do. It's not the school's responsibility. They're going to do the big picture, but you have to do the little picture of your kids, because you might not be able to get out of the room. You're sitting in the classroom, all of a sudden it starts to shake, and that projector falls down and cracks you in the head, and you're out cold. Your kids should know leave you exactly where you are, not bother with you, and once the shaking stops, and it's no more shaking, they need to try to get out that door and get to some spot that you have taught them to go to, that the school has told you that this room, conference room, lines up on that corner, wherever, somewhere on the field. And that's important. Where are we? Who's next?
You have a second.
Yeah.
Second. Thank you.
This is a teaching tolerance poster made by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Just some facts about English language learners.
Just another thing like the teamwork poster. Additional things that teaching tolerance. I don't know if I've sent anything to you about that. I think I did, but teachingtolerance.org is a great resource. They send free things out to teachers. Of course, we have the Holocaust Museum down in LA, but teachingtolerance.org has a magazine, has different things they send out free of charge. All you got to do is send them some information, email and that kind of thing, and you'll receive some things. There's lots of places out there that with an email, you'll get things in return. Marcus with the last two.
Trying to figure out what is this, like emergency? That's just help. That's a student.
Well, what do you think it is? What do you think it is?
I don't know. I was trying to figure.
Anybody?
I don't know.
Anybody?
What are we doing here? What is this?
Who wants to take the car to the main office when you go?
Maybe if something happened to the teacher and the kid are responsible for getting help.
That's something a school used. God forbid there was a problem in the room. That emergency paper would be hanging by the door. If you were a high school teacher, you would have advised each of your classes, 1 or 2 kids in the class, God forbid I'm unable to help out in this room, something happens to me, just grab that paper and take it right to the main office. Anybody seeing a kid carrying that form to the main office, any adult out there walking around, campus security, campus supervisors, if they saw that, they would look at it very quickly. They'd see it came from room 42. They would say to the kid, keep going to the main office, and they would go to room 42. That's an emergency situation that a teacher can advise the office about problems in the room where they can't use the phone or the cell phone. It's another item to help a teacher. God forbid there's a safety problem. Okay, would you close the packets up? Now, I'll close the packets up. And maybe I'll, the 3 on this side, put them on top of each other and pass them down. And both of you guys put them on top of each, put them in the middle somewhere, and I'll take them. What these items are, and the reason I brought them, well, we didn't talk about a few things. Somebody didn't talk about the lesson plan books that they had. How come? Not important? Eric says no. Eric says no. No, now he's going to do it. All right, tell us.
That's an emergency info, seating chart, daily schedule, all these things you can photocopy and find a use
Awards?
for. Don't forget.
Well, what's the main thing in a lesson plan book?
The main
Is right
there's
there.
long range planning.
Yes.
What you're going to do in a month, in months,
And then the days.
and then every month. Every day.
The reason that was in a couple of yours, and some of them are written on because they were real lesson plan books, I actually found them in the garbage at my house. And I took them out, and I asked my better half, why are these in the garbage? She said, because next year I'm going to start all over again. I said, well, I guess you never took my class here, even though she was in one of these classes once. I said, you never took one of the classes because I don't believe in throwing lesson plan books away. That's a lesson plan book where you, elementary lesson plan book, where the next year you don't use the same lesson plan book. No, but what do? You look at it, you review it, you tweak it, you make up a new book, but you keep the old ones. A number of people throw away their lesson plan books. Did Troy say he threw his away, I think?
Yeah.
Right? He
He
did
wants
that.
to change.
I don't want to use the same lesson plan book year after year, no way. But I want to keep it, and I want to improve on it and make changes on it. Why? Because each day or each week, I went into my lesson plan book and I tweaked it and I said, this did not work. But when I did this, it worked. Or I put a post-it in there that said, this went extremely well. If I do this lesson over again, I would add this to it. I believe she's got 20-something years of teaching in, so I guess she can throw it away, I guess. Even though I disagree with the throwing away, and I took them right out of the garbage, right out. First 5 years of teaching, first 7 years of teaching, you need to keep those. If you're doing them on the computer, you need to keep those active so you can relook at them, especially if you're taking if you're teaching the same class again, or the same subject, or the same grade level again. It can only be important. Okay, enough said about that. Most of the stuff in all of these packets, even though we didn't go over all of them, we didn't go over everything in the packet, somehow would be on the walls of a classroom. The rules, the rubrics, the grading, the dress code, the bulletins, the pictures of yourself, your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, somewhere on the wall in your classroom, you'd have things like that. Pictures maybe of your family, pictures of your hobbies, that you would have somewhere maybe in your classroom to get kids to feel the humanness and your touch. Okay, any questions or thoughts at the moment? Or time check? Whoa, 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes. I'll bring it to a close in 5 or 6 minutes. This is what I was mentioning is the main piece in the cumulative record. Some districts might use something a little different. They all probably use something similar. This right here would be 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. They would put the grades on here out of the computer. The computer would kick out label grades, labels, and they paste them on here, 7, 8, 9. Senior high school, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this would flow. Elementary wise, they have another one just like this that would be dropped in here because the elementary teachers would write 3 or 4 sentences at the end of the year about their kids on their, similar to this, a little smaller, probably this size, and it drops into here, into the bigger folder with all of the other records that come up. Court records. The family went to court. The father should have no communication with the family or the school. The father is out. I sure hope somebody told the teacher that don't talk to the father, because there's a court record in here that says no communication with the father. It's the school's responsibility. But I'm just going to say to you as a lasting comment about cumulative records, in student teaching, or even now if you can, check 1 or 2 cumulative records. Take a look at what's in them. Get a feeling for them. because these are extremely important. We talked about who to call first, right? Well, we're looking at Marcus. He's moving around the seat. He's just somebody that I can see already is possibly going to present me a problem. Well, I'm going to call his home first, and I'm going to say some good things about him. But I'm going to try to get to the office and look at a couple of cumes a week. Just a couple of cumes. Elementary people, you're going to look at all 30 very quickly. Your elementary principals are going to kind of require the three of you to look at cumes. Middle and high school, you don't get required. They kind of put it off. Why, I don't know. I don't like it, but they put it off. So, look into this.
And then
Please.
the cume travels from elementary school to middle school? They send them over? Or?
When the kid is at the elementary school, it started at pre-K and it stays at the elementary school. If they culminate at the 5th grade and they go to his middle school and it's in the same district, the cume travels to it.
And different districts?
The different districts, they make a copy of the important stuff and send it, and they keep some of the main stuff at that school. They don't lose the main school. If the kid stays elementary, middle school, and high school in the same district, this cume moves right on through. When the kid gets to middle school, somebody at the middle school sends a card, a phone call, an email, something to the secretary at the elementary, our middle school. Please send me all the records. Boom. Same thing happens at the high school. Once the kid enrolls at that high school, same district, they send a message to the middle school and the records get sent there.
And so for elementary, it's only like 1 or 2 sentences from the teacher and the grade? So.
It's 1 or 2 or 3 sentences, but then inside, there's the enrollment forms, any court orders, any
Like detention? If you have detention?
not really detentions,
Old IEPs or any of that stuff, or like?
not old IEPs, all IEPs. What color are IEPs?
Green.
Can't hear you.
Green.
Green. All IEPs are in here. Then there'll be a red folder. There'll be a blue folder. There'll be a gold folder. All signifying different things that the kid has been involved in throughout the years at that school and that grade. So this thing, I don't know what I could say. I would say lesson planning, extremely important with rubrics. Number 1. Number 2, this cume. All the information's about this kid. Everything's about the kid is in this cume right here. And it also might be on the school's software computer.
Can parents request to see the cume?
Yes, they can, and they would not see it alone. The assistant principal would sit with the
No,
parent. Well, no, you got a good point there. If a parent asks to see the cume, the assistant principal is going to go and check out the cume first. Let's see if there's anything derogatory in there. Somebody might have dropped something in there that shouldn't be in there. Some sort of letter or something that's inappropriate. Some teacher wrote an inappropriate letter about the kid and somehow it got into the cume. The parent better not see that, or that teacher's going to have a problem and that school's going to have a problem. So before a parent would have access to this, the assistant principal had better look through this and make sure there's nothing that was placed in here that's inappropriate or wrong. And the father might not be able to see this if it says, if there's a red flag on here, the post-it says, do not share with father, court order. Whoa, nothing better be told to the father about this until that until the father gets a new court order. We're going to do observations, field work, 4 hours. Gen Ed, special ed, we talked about how you're going to do yours. I would like these back next week, so, well, let me start first. The profile that you did, can you pass it down, please? you all three coming down. Thank you for. Please make sure you review the syllabus online and the one I gave out. So if you have any questions of anything in that syllabus, let me know, either by email or ask me now or after class. I'm giving you right now, this is just a previous class work, one each. This is a previous student's work on their observations of their gen ed and possible special ed teacher that they give, for you just to use as a sample. Please bring this back next week. The handouts that I gave out today, file them, do something positive with them. I want to touch bases on the notebook for a second. Hold up with the papers for a second. Very important. Notebook. There's about 12 or 13 different topics. 9 or 10 of them, from the rules down to the last one, I forgot what it is. You're doing 2 pages of your own writing about what that topic means to you and how you're going to implement it in the classroom. Also, you're going to upload 2 or 3 artifacts that pertain to that topic and what you wrote about. Those artifacts can come from the handbook, the notebook that you used this week. We're going to change them in about 10 seconds. Or they can come from anything I've given you. Hopefully you've looked at it and it pertains exactly to yourself and what you wrote about.
So the artifacts have to come from the notebook or what you gave us?
Have to? No.
Oh, okay.
They can come from outer space.
Okay.
They can come from the internet. You can steal them. You can get them anywhere you want. But all kidding aside, there should be 2 artifacts that reflect what you just wrote about.
One more question.
Please.
Digital? We don't make it actually.
No, it's all uploaded. I'll see it just like I see your discussions.
Do we need to reference our artifacts?
You need to reference them, yes. It talks about citing where you're getting the things. If you're taking some stuff from Steve in your 2-page thing, no problem. From Freud, no problem. Just put something down, very short and simple. Steve, guest speaking class. Now, we have a notebook in front of us. Marcus is not going to get one this week, so the 4 of you are going to get a notebook. Split the notebook so you're not taking the same one home. Just make sure keep changing the notebooks. Change the notebooks, make sure you're not taking the same one home. That would be a waste of energy.
So this is your notebook?
No, those are both mine.
Those are both yours?
Yeah.
Everybody have a different notebook? Hello? Everybody have a different notebook? Good. Any last thoughts? I know it's time to get out of here. What I would like you to do, but for 1 second, is I want to end on a very, very positive note. Take a look at your, Michael, you're going to share with Casey. Take a look at your name card. Take it back out. Oh, you have it?
I finally found it.
Oh, cool. Okay. Look at the back of it. Give a quick read, please. 60-second read. Drive carefully.
Is it all the same?
What's that?
Is everyone's the same?
Everybody's the same. Drive carefully.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Drive carefully, guys. I'm here if you need me. I'm not going anywhere yet. Bring a backpack next week because I have 3 times the amount of content. Just joking. Take some cookies. Take some cookies home on the drive. Nice, huh? wait until school starts for you. You'll be getting lots of things. Now, they are going to more to emailing and stuff, which is good.
Yeah.
That's the new style. Yes. One of these days, I'll scan this stuff. Maybe Casey will take some of this stuff home and scan it for me and send it to me so I can send it to the next class.
But I leave this stuff, that's what, yeah.
You'll leave that package.
Okay.
Drive carefully, guys. Take some cookies on the way out.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Take a couple of cookies. Whose books are these here?
These are mine.
Oh, all yours.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
I had a question about
Yes.
the assignment
Yes.
you want me to take
Did you
on.
come up with anything?
Well, kind of, but tell me what you think.
No. Tell me what you think. Go ahead. Tell me what I
Okay,
think.
so
Shut this off.